A notification screen appeared with the words, Challenge Tower, Floor 100, Loading. Along with it, several angels appeared with the silhouette of a man below them. A comment accompanied it. Persistent as a leech, but all that struggling is useless. I told you so. A confident smile appeared on Jinwoo's face. Sooner or later, I'll clear this 100th floor. The game, Battle of the Summoners. The #1 player, Jinwoo God. That's me. It's often shortened to Summoners Battle, a trash game that hardly anyone plays because of its insane difficulty. Now only the veteran players are left sticking around. What's the point of battling it out on the player rankings anyway? Jinwoo God is going to be #1 no matter what. I heard he's a free-to-play player too. How the hell is he that good? As expected from the #1 player, Jinwoo God. He's on a whole other level. I heard he broke the time attack record in the daily dungeon again. Is Jinwoo God hacking the game? How could he defeat the Chaos Dragon in just 47 seconds? Don't you dare insult him. You'd probably have a better chance of becoming one of Jinwoo God's summons. In there, I set incredible records and became a legend in that game. A few comments from the 5 Heavenly Emperors popped up on screen. Player who has conquered floor 70 of the Challenge Tower. Baekcheon. Big bro Jinwoo God, are you busy? You must be busy trying to clear floor 99, right? Reading this, Jinwoo muttered to himself, but I already passed floor 99. What's wrong? Is there some kind of problem? Jinwoo thought to himself, that's right. Jinwoo God is a character that makes all the other rankers bow in respect, but sorry I'm busy right now. A somewhat regretful smile was on his face. Just after I clear this last stage, I'm deleting this game. In the real world, my life is a complete wreck. Things weren't supposed to be like this. I've been addicted to games for 15 years to the point where I even dropped out of college. I can't even hold down a stable job like everyone else. Even though my parents don't say anything, I know they must be heartbroken. His thoughts continued. That's why I've decided to quit this trash game and get my life back on track. I'm already 24 years old. I need to start living like a real person. And so with the goal of starting his life over, Jinwoo's eyes grew serious. And to give Jinwoo God a truly perfect ending. The angels above prepared to attack in unison. I'm just going to clear this one last stage and delete the game for good. Right here, right now. Jinwoo prepared to counterattack. The summoning panel appeared showing a list of his summoned beasts and inventory. On the side, the 5 Heavenly Emperors were talking non-stop. Player who has conquered floor 70 of the Challenge Tower, Baekcheon. Looks like Big Bro is really busy. 5 Heavenly Emperors rank 2 player Rachel. He usually doesn't even look at the summon panel. Let's just wait and see what happens. The summoned beast he used was his ultimate skill, White Whale. A system notification followed, White Whale has been summoned. The comment section erupted with discussion. 5 Heavenly Emperors, rank 2 player Rachel. But if he clears floor 100 this time... The angels launched another attack. Below them, a comment from the 5 Heavenly Emperors appeared. Rank 2 player Rachel, it'll be exactly 15 years, right? Jinwoo was completely focused on the battle in front of him. He quickly erected a wall to block their attacks. Jinwoo's face was incredibly tense. The comment section got even louder. 5 Heavenly Emperor Xenos. This is insane. Red. This is too epic. I can't bring myself to quit this game. I just want to see someone finally clear floor 100. Meanwhile, the angels continued their relentless assault, their faces betraying no emotion. However, each of their movements was decisive. On his side, Jinwoo was still utilizing his White Whale summon, a confident look now on his face. More comments continued to pop up. 5 Heavenly Emperors. Gred. He really lives up to the name Jinwoo God, player who has conquered floor 70 of the Challenge Tower. Baekcheon, but a light appeared from behind, forcing Jinwoo to turn around. Did you guys read the announcement board? A giant monster now stood before him. 5 Heavenly Emperors, Moscow. So clearing floor 100 is going to open up a new world, huh? It attacked almost instantly. Jinwoo's eyes widened in shock, but he was quick to summon the Blue Dragon. As soon as it appeared, the Blue Dragon used its water-based abilities to counter the monster. Kia, meanwhile. The spectators outside were still discussing the battle. 5 Heavenly Emperors player who has conquered floor 70 of the Challenge Tower, Baekcheon. The game's structure is going to change. What does that mean? 5 Heavenly Emperors rank 2 player Rachel? They probably just wrote it for laughs. Even the admins probably didn't think anyone could actually clear floor 100. In the blink of an eye, space itself was violently distorted. Below, a line of text from the 5 Heavenly Emperors appeared. Player who has conquered floor 70 of the Challenge Tower, Baekcheon. You never know. Jinwoo's eyes widened. as he witnessed the scale of the battle. 5 Heavenly Emperors player who has conquered floor 70 of the challenge tower, Baekcheon. But what if the world really does change? An announcement was then made. Reality will now become the world of summoners. The very next second, a massive explosion erupted and text appeared on Jinwoo's screen. Tower of Trials. 100th floor successfully conquered. Unable to contain his excitement, Jinwoo shouted, "I beat the game!" Passers-by shot him judgmental looks. "I finally did it." They even muttered, "What's wrong with that guy? He must be crazy." However, only Jinwoo knew the truth. The great Jinwoo god had finally conquered all 100 floors. And now goodbye game. He started to feel the urge to brag. "All right, before I delete the game, I've got to show off to the other gamers." But just then, the people around him suddenly had looks of shock on their faces. What's going on? A blinding light caught Jinwoo's attention, drawing his eyes to a giant notification in the sky. Tower of Trials 100th floor successfully conquered. Everyone present couldn't help but gasp. What is that thing? The next notification read, "Beta test ending." Jinwoo started to panic. Why is the in-game screen appearing out there? Following that announcement, a flurry of red papers appeared. A few people quickly grabbed them. What are these? A notice appeared, "Tear the summoning scroll." They were just intrigued by what was happening. Is this some kind of event? Let's try tearing it. And then they immediately tore the red paper. Jinwoo, standing nearby, couldn't stop them in time. Don't! If you tear it! A red paper was torn in two. It instantly exploded, startling the person holding it. Another notification appeared. A new world has opened. Jinwoo's face went pale with horror as he witnessed the scene. Hordes of monsters started appearing from nowhere. While he was still trying to process it, a car was about to hit him. No way! It wasn't until a light flashed from behind that Jinwoo realized something was wrong. A loud noise rang out, followed by the panicked screams of the people around. They surrounded Jinwoo and shouted, "Someone got hit by a car over here! Somebody help him!" He lay alone on the ground, his head bleeding. "Call 119, quick! Call 119!" In his mind, Jinwoo was thinking, "Damn this stupid game." His phone lay cracked on the ground. An unknown amount of time had passed. In a hospital room, a news report was playing. Next up in the official International Players League, South Korea has once again achieved a disappointing result, placing in the bottom group of the rankings. At that moment, Jinwoo's hand twitched slightly. The association claims that more high-level summons need to be mobilized, but some experts argue that the national budget is insufficient to cover the cost. This startled his mother. She nearly dropped the knife she was holding. Honey, quick, call the doctor." Her voice was filled with relief. Jinwoo's awake. The sky outside was still strangely blue. Inside the hospital room, Jinwoo's father and mother were explaining what had happened. His eyes were wide with astonishment. "The moment I woke up, I was hit with some shocking news. First 3 years have passed since my accident." The news swirled in his head. Second, the game scenery I saw before I passed out. It became reality. The door swung open and a cobblestone golem walked in. "This is Dad's summon a cobblestone golem." Only then could Jinwoo confirm that it wasn't a dream. Jinwoo's father continued to explain, "It helps me sort goods at the express delivery warehouse. It's quite useful." He stared at it, bewildered. "That E-rank summons is yours, Dad." And the third shocking piece of news, the TV was broadcasting a news clip about Rachel. In light of the situation, players around the world are unanimously asserting that to conquer the Tower of Trials, they must find South Korea's Jinwoo god. This declaration has sparked a massive wave of speculation in the public about the world's #1 ranked player. We the 5 sovereigns have always been waiting for him. If he appears, that will be the moment the world is shaken once more. The truth was, the whole world was searching for Jinwoo God. But I'm Jinwoo God. He looked at the image of the woman on the TV and thought, besides, there's no mistaking that name. He was certain of her identity. She was Jaecheong of the 5 sovereigns. The news report ended there. It was only then that Jinwoo thought to himself, so the game Summoner's War has really become reality. Would you like to begin the tutorial? Yes. No. Jinwoo's mother suddenly spoke up. Jinwoo, I know this is a huge shock. You don't have to start the tutorial right away, just get some rest first. However, he quickly refused. No, Mom, he said with a smile, adding, I need to adapt quickly, right? Besides, my body feels healthier now. Don't worry. But in his mind, he had already made his calculations. Even though I have nothing right now, and I don't know how the world has changed. And how hard can it be? especially when it comes to this game. I'm confident I can become the top player in the world. Everything that happened after that was quite simple. After being discharged from the hospital and returning home, Jinwoo was now sitting in front of a screen. I began to research this new world, a world where the game BOS had become reality. His searches included everything from one-on-one duels, expedition dungeons, to the Tower of Trials. All the game's systems materialized in the real world. Now 3 years have passed, and it seems everyone has gradually adapted to it all. Living alongside summoned beasts, Jinwoo mumbled as he stood up from his seat. Even so, there's no way they could understand them as well as I do. And then he eagerly began interacting with the system interface. Well then, I guess it's time. A series of notifications appeared. Would you like to open your inventory? No. Shall we begin? The tutorial phase is starting. Very quickly, Jinwoo was transported to another place. Just as I predicted. I knew there wouldn't be anyone around here. I can't believe I had to find a place this desolate, just because I can't predict what kind of summoned beast will appear. A series of tutorial instructions appeared one after another. Tutorial reward low-grade summon scroll ×2. Warning, it is recommended to use this outdoors. Jinwoo looked at the red scroll in his hand and could only sigh. Now everything feels so real, he mumbled to himself. Please just let me summon something a little decent. Because even for me, Baek Jinwoo, the one known as Number 1, if I have to start with trash summons, I'm finished. But this game is a cursed gacha game. It's famous for its absolutely abysmal drop rates. The stats can be summarized as follows. Low-grade summon scroll, D1%, E5%, F94%. The ranks range from S to F. With such an extremely low success rate from this low-grade summon scroll, you have to overcome a 1% chance just to get a D rank item. He didn't tear it right away. Instead, he started to pray. Oh God, please, please, I'm begging you. Please give me something I can use, just a little something. Jinwoo's face was incredibly serious. A D rank, no. I'd be satisfied even with an E rank item, as long as it's a useful E rank item. Finally, he proceeded to tear the scroll. Please. A notification from the system appeared, using low-grade summon scroll. Jinwoo read the line cautiously. Using low-grade summon scroll, he couldn't stop asking himself, will it be a success? Then again, how do the summoned things even appear? Just then, the scroll suddenly exploded, which caught Jinwoo completely off guard. What the hell is this? Lines of information from the system began to appear. Player Baek Jinwoo. A golden light along with Ramba is what you received. Received S rank. Summoned Beast Wind Spirit. Jinwoo's eyes widened in disbelief, so much so that he had to mumble, "Srank, does a rank like that even exist?" Meanwhile, Ramba was lazily rubbing her eyes. Huh. She was so surprised she had to cry out, "What the hell?" Then she looked excitedly at the person in front of her. Oh my God, I was actually summoned for real. This is insane. How long has it been since this last happened? Jinwoo, on the other hand, couldn't stop wondering, what is this? How can a summoned beast talk? However, he quickly figured it out. Wait a moment. A name just slipped out of Jinwoo's mouth. Are you Ramba? Ramba hurriedly corrected him. No, I'm a wind spirit. But she too quickly realized. Wait a second. What? The only person who ever called me by that name. Could it be our Jinugotis? Ramba's face gradually became more excited. Don't tell me you're... Are you Jinugot? Then she launched herself at Jinwoo with an excited expression. Jinugot, do you have any idea how much I've missed you? Jinwoo just replied gently, of course I do. In his mind, he was constantly calculating. I remember now. The E-rank summoned Beast the Wind Spirit. Speaking of which, if you knew how to exploit the hidden mechanics and equip the right kind of ancient runes, the result of that was she would become a god-tier unit with the ability to increase attack speed exponentially. Because we were together for so long back when I was still a newbie, I even gave her the nickname Ramba. Jinwoo glanced over at Ramba with a question in his mind. However, wasn't she removed from the game in a patch? A bug fix patch during the first year. He looked at the information panel in front of him and thought to himself, what was the reason again? Her use was restricted because they discovered an exploit that caused a serious imbalance, right? Do you have any idea how pissed I was when they deleted the summon I had spent a whole year raising? What the hell is going on here anyway? The information panel itself read, Summon Wind Spirit Level 1, Race Fairy, S rank, Status Quarantined. Quarantined due to the discovery of elements that cause imbalance. Under specific conditions. Owned Skill Wind Pressure. Increases attack speed by 3% for a single summoned target after each swing of the staff. Jinwoo's eyes widened as he mumbled to himself. The quarantined status right now. Ramba, with tears welling in her eyes, began to explain, "Suddenly I was pulled into a really strange place. I was locked up and I couldn't even get out. Let's never be apart again, okay?" Jinwoo got okay. Jinwoo not only showed no pity, but also roughly pushed her away. "Wait a minute, Ramba." A question rose in his mind. "Trapped? Who quarantined you?" It was only at this moment that Ramba realized the slip in her words. Well, it's... What was it again, I mean?" She hurriedly changed the subject. "Ouch! Suddenly my head is killing me." Ramba feigned a headache. "Ow, ow! My head hurts so much I can't remember anything at all." Some bastard must have placed a restriction on her. Seeing this, Jinwoo asked in return, "Really? In that case, just tell me what you do remember." She could only reply seriously, "I'm sorry, but I can't reveal much to you. We were quarantined. Originally, no matter how hard players tried to summon us, we couldn't leave." Unexpectedly, her words only confused him more. Besides me, there are other summons who were also quarantined," Ramba shared sincerely. "Since we weren't locked in the same room, I don't know who they are, but there are definitely many others." A guess then formed in Jinwoo's mind. Maybe around 10 of them, 10 individuals. If it really was 10 individuals then. He couldn't believe his eyes as he thought, "Holy crap, no way." Because the truth was, 10 summons had disappeared after being marked as errors while he was using them. He started to put it all together. If all of those summons were classified as X rank and were quarantined. Ramba chimed in with a comment, "I don't know the details either. But anyway, Jinwoo God, it seems we get a chance every time you tear a summon scroll. It's been a long time since I felt the call from a low-grade summon scroll." Looking at the red paper on the ground, Jinwoo mused to himself, "Isn't this interesting? Moreover, they only react to the scrolls I tear." His expression grew more serious. "There's no doubt about it. I'm the only one who can summon S-rank items." And then he wondered, could this be an exclusive privilege for the one who conquered the 100th floor of the Tower of Trials? Jinwoo quickly tore the remaining scroll, using low-grade summon scroll. As he did so, he muttered to himself, "Could it be that every low-grade summon scroll I tear is set up to drop an S-rank item?" The summon quickly appeared. Player Beck Jinwoo has obtained the F-rank summon Hairy Gorilla. Jinwoo couldn't help but feel disappointed. Guess not. Meanwhile, Ramba, on the other hand, looked delighted. A little gorilla! He thought to himself, F-rank. This means the drop rate for X-rank items is also completely random. This goddamn trashy gacha game. And so he calculated carefully. Then, just as I suspected, I'll need to tear as many summon scrolls as possible to increase the odds of getting X-rank items. If I can possess all the S-rank items, I could become much stronger than when I reigned as the one above all. After setting his goal, he spoke up. "Ramba!" She quickly turned her head and replied, "Jinwoo God." A declaration followed. "From now on, drop the Jinwoo God name, just call me Jinwoo." Ramba asked, confused, "Why?" He didn't explain, only thinking to himself, because thanks to the 5 emperors, the name Jinwoo God is already famous all over the world. The risks were piling up. No matter how superior my knowledge and experience are, I still can't know. Hey, how much of a disadvantage this 3-year gap will be for me. Jinwoo himself understood perfectly well. If information gets out that Jinwoo God possesses S-rank items, I'll just become a target of envy and jealousy and nothing more. A noise echoed through the forest, sending birds scattering. Jinwoo couldn't help but be surprised. What was that? What's going on all of a sudden? Both Ramba and the gorilla were just as startled. What is it? A message appeared before Jinwoo, proceeding to the next stage. The information quickly became clear. Basic dungeon for beginners has been created. He looked at the gate that had suddenly appeared. Jinwoo mumbled in surprise, "What right now?" His hand tightened in hesitation. "Oh, damn it! Do I really have to go in there?" "It's true. I've conquered countless dungeons before. But," Jinwoo quickly concluded, "reality is completely different from the game." His teeth clenched. "No, calm down. To be honest, I'm terrified, but I won't have to fight directly, and more importantly, this is just a tutorial dungeon." And then Jinwoo turned his head back to look at the door. Player Beck Jinwoo. Now a notification from the system appeared. "Please enter." The 3 of them proceeded inside. "I need to adapt to this changed reality." Jinwoo's face couldn't hide his surprise. The space around him changed in the blink of an eye. Did I just enter an instance? It feels a bit chilling in here. A notification from the system appeared. Player Beck Jinwoo, you have entered the beginner's instance. Jinwoo read it carefully, calculating in his head. So it's begun. The rules of engagement are as follows. To participate in combat within the instance, you must form a summon team. A second notification appeared. The maximum number of summons per team is 5. Below was an option. Do you want to assign the S-Rank Wind Spirit and the F-Rank Shaggy Gorilla to Team 1? Yes/no. At this moment, Jinwoo calculated to himself. Normally, to increase the chances of successfully clearing an instance, people would fill their roster with all 5 summons. He remembered back when he used to play the game. Bringing only 2 summons seemed risky, but with the right strategy, it's entirely possible. Then thinking about what had happened. I've run simulations of this thousands, tens of thousands of times. Jinwoo thought to himself, the entire process of clearing this is already memorized in my head. The listed choices, the S-Rank Wind Spirit and the F-Rank Shaggy Gorilla, will now be automatically summoned. He frowned, assessing the situation internally. Let's see now. The monster in the tutorial instance will definitely be... Unexpectedly, Jinwoo's eyes widened when he heard a growl from behind. A system notification appeared. A hungry gray wolf is lurking nearby. Defeat the wolf and escape the cave. His face grew more serious. F-Rank Gray Wolf, following that his feet, began to radiate several streams of yellow light. It formed a protective shield around Jinwoo. A protective shield has been created for the player. He continued to calculate cautiously. So the system that protects players from bosses is perfectly implemented. But since this is reality, suddenly a red notification appeared. Warning, you will die if attacked by a summon without an active protective shield. If I fail, it won't just end with the words game over. The Grey Wolf wore a menacing expression and slowly advanced. At that moment, Jinwoo gave the command. Shaggy Gorilla. Gorilla. However, its movements disappointed him immensely. Jinwoo's face paled as he made an observation. He's too slow. However, that didn't affect his mood for long, but I already expected this much. Ramba. Understood. She accepted the command and rushed forward. The skill being used here is wind pressure. Swing the staff to increase the attack speed of the summoned beast. The gorilla was quickly powered up. It was momentarily stunned by this. However, it quickly regained its momentum and charged forward powerfully. On the side, Jinwoo commented with satisfaction. Excellent. That's Ramba for you. The Grey Wolf also charged aggressively. Jinwoo thought to himself, was that thing this big in the game? It looks even more terrifying. He was confident in his team. There's no way the Shaggy Gorilla would actually lose, right? Jinwoo's train of thought continued. According to the data, I know that's completely impossible. But, however, he also cautiously considered other possibilities. If there's a 1 in a million chance that reality presents an unforeseen event, a bloody scene unfolded before his eyes. The Grey Wolf managed to bite the gorilla. It lost its balance and fell. Jinwoo immediately shouted, Ramba! She replied in a high voice, Ouch! I swung as hard as I could. Wind enveloped and supported the gorilla's attack. The tables were turned in a single punch. The Grey Wolf tumbled to the ground. Jinwoo, waiting for just that moment, immediately gave an order. That's it. Ramba quickly followed up with the next attack. The gorilla with her support became even stronger. It punched the Grey Wolf straight on, then continuously unleashed a barrage of punches. The surrounding space was nothing but a cloud of white dust. Jinwoo and Ramba stared wide-eyed at the scene. They looked at the dead Grey Wolf motionless on the ground. Just then, the gorilla roared while Ramba cheered excitedly. We won. Several system notifications appeared simultaneously. Instance cleared. Reward, low-grade strength potion ×2. Jinwoo finally felt a sense of relief. I'm alive. As the afternoon wore on, a delighted voice rang out. Thanks. See you next time. Several bills were tucked into an envelope. That was the excitement of Ajin. This is amazing. I just earned 200,000 won today, right? She is Beck Ajin, Beck Jinwoo's younger sister. Speaking of 3 years ago, when the world changed, I also got a new profession, that of a rune farming player, mainly running low-level dungeons. My job is to make a profit by selling runes to potential players. Ajin's thoughts continued. After my brother's accident, our family's financial situation became difficult. I decided to become a player. Like a miracle, while I was in a dungeon, a skill book for an intermediate-level summoner dropped. And from that book, boom, with a drop rate of just 1%, I received a C-rank summon. She glanced at the bag on her shoulder. I was really lucky. Thanks to this C-rank shadow goblin, I've been able to earn money steadily by farming runes. Her phone rang. The caller was her big brother, Jinwoo. Big brother is calling. Jin quickly picked up. Hello, big brother. Are you out of the hospital? On the other end of the line. I'm out. But hey, Jin, Dad told me you're selling ancient runes. That comment made her a little indignant. Selling ancient runes. The proper term is a player who grinds for ancient runes. How could you use such a crude word? Her shout made Jinwoo quickly try to calm her down. You scared me. Okay, fine. Grinding for ancient runes. Anyway, do you know where the synthesis center is? Dad said you'd know. Hearing this, Jin asked in surprise, the synthesis center, you mean that place? She explained softly, of course it's in the player zone. The truth is, when the Towers of Trials appeared all over the world, people needed a space to manage everything related to their summons. That's how the player zones came to be. Not only that, but it's not just about the various dungeons. There are also the Synthesis Center, the Enhancement Center, and many other places. Everything can now be taken care of. Right near the tower. The two of them quickly arranged to meet at a cafe. Jin, you know that the Jamsu Tower and Haeundae Tower have turned into Towers of Trials, right? She explained calmly, the situation varies from country to country, but in Korea the Towers of Trials have only appeared in those two locations. So, the player zones you're looking for are only in those places. Hearing this, Jinwoo replied, I see. However, his face remained thoughtful. Still, if these facilities are meant to help conquer the Towers of Trials, then it makes sense for them to be built nearby. It's understandable. Jin suddenly changed the subject. By the way, what rank summon did you get, big bro? An F rank or E rank? Jinwoo answered softly. 1 E rank and 1 F rank. Hearing this, she couldn't help but be surprised. Really? E ranks only have about a 5% appearance rate, you know. However, he was a bit evasive. Is that so? I guess I was just lucky. Sorry, little sis, that was just a lie. He then made a request. Anyway, I'm going to need you to give me a hand. I want to get used to this system too, as quickly as possible. He didn't forget to add a promise. I'll give you some spending money later. Jin teased back. Even though I make way more money than you. Big bro Jinwoo just replied gently, little sis, you never know what the future holds. Who knows, I might just become the greatest player in the world. But she didn't buy it for a second. In your dreams. Jin continued. It's easy to brag about becoming the next Jaechol or Genos big bro. People like them are the chosen ones. Her words were a reminder. They're all geniuses. People like us can never become like them. Jinwoo just replied softly. Is that so? Then as he stood up, he made his request. I get it, so lead the way. An excited smile appeared on Jinwoo's face. He wanted to see what a player zone looked like with his own eyes. The place they were headed to was a building, an incredibly modern building. The building they were heading to was extremely striking. On the way, Jin couldn't help but feel curious. Oppa, you said you just drew a summon. What did you get? Jinwoo replied nonchalantly, a wind spirit. Hearing this, she grew even more curious and asked again. A wind spirit, I've never heard of one before, let me see it. However, he flatly refused. What in your dreams? Why do you want to see it? His refusal annoyed Jin. So stingy, why not? It's not like we're strangers, and it won't cost you anything to show me. Hearing this, Jinwoo made a proposal. All right then, you show me yours first. Jin was taken aback. Mine, she proudly took out her summon. Fine, just don't be too shocked. Her expression made me a bit curious about what that girl was so confident about. A C-rank dark elf appeared, and Jinwoo was almost instantly stunned. This attitude annoyed Jin so much she had to ask, what's with that half-hearted reaction? You might not know this, Appa, but anything C-rank or higher is considered high class. Hearing this explanation, Jinwoo just replied indifferently, oh, is that so? He continued to observe it, thinking to himself, give me a break. High class my ass. This is the kind of C-rank that never even sees a dungeon and just gets used as crafting materials. Or sold for XP at the general store. And then Jinwoo spoke up. Hey, Ms. Elf. Jinwoo enthusiastically tried to start a conversation. Can you speak Korean? Hello. This action made the other two wonder what was going on. Jin, with a judgmental expression, asked, what are you doing? Hello, can't you hear me? Jinwoo calmly explained, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm just saying hello. And I was going to ask this summon you're so proud of to take good care of you. The more she heard, the more speechless she became with him. Saying hello my ass, how can a summon even talk? This new information made Jinwoo visibly surprised. They can't talk. In his mind, he recalled his first meeting with Ramba. God, Jinwoo, do you know how much I've missed you? Jinwoo was confused, but little Ramba had talked when they first met. He asked again, Wait a minute. So summons can't talk to begin with. Ajin replied with an even more judgmental expression. Whoever said summons could talk? But Jinwoo was busy remembering Ramba's playfulness. Oh, well, I guess that's right. But since Ramba could talk, I just assumed that all humanoid summons could speak now as part of the reality patch. I guess I knew Ramba was a special case. He even remembered the way she spoke. Jinwoo, I did a good job, didn't I? Just then, Ajin made another request. Okay, now show me your summon, Oppa. Unexpectedly, Jinwoo refused again. Later. His attitude surprised her so much that she raised her voice. What, why? I already showed you mine. Jinwoo repeated himself. I said later I'll show you then. For now, it's best not to attract attention for a while. I'll have to be more careful when I talk to Ramba from now on. He added with a sense of urgency, hurry up and lead the way. Although she was pouting, Jin complied. You're such a liar. Wait for me. Jinwoo's face couldn't hide his astonishment at the scene before him. The place where they stopped was teeming with people and summoned beasts. Is this really James Silver? Jin walked ahead, explaining softly. That's right. When the Tower of Trials appeared, the company cleared out this whole area. The more Jinwoo heard, the more curious he became. Why? She furrowed her brow and answered as if it were obvious. Why, who would want to have fun next to that gloomy tower? This place isn't the land of dreams and hopes anymore. Jinwoo's eyes went wide as he asked back. But wouldn't that make it even more exciting? The land of adventure and excitement. Then Jin questioned him, what kind of excitement gets you killed? A dungeon popped up right in the middle of James' world. Who would come to play here anymore? Only then did he reluctantly agree. I guess you're right. Jinwoo's expression also turned serious. Dungeons are truly terrifying. But to see places from the game appear in real life. He looked towards the road ahead, thinking to himself, to be honest, it's incredibly exciting. The two of them headed deeper inside. Is that a market over there selling low-grade 10 million recall scrolls? Yes, with that summon? I can pay you about this much. Yes, with this you can draw up to a C rank. What's the percentage? Yes, over here. People could freely trade everything from 10 million recall scrolls to worms. Jinwoo looked around with an excited smile. This is so nostalgic. I used to always sell 10 million recall scrolls back then. With June and that rich guy, Bachon, GINU brother, just pick whatever you want. Big spender Bechon is footing the bill. Meanwhile, Jin explained as they walked, see that flyer over there. Almost everything you need is listed there. So if you need directions, just go to the information booth. She didn't forget to add, also since you're still new, Appa, maybe you should try stopping by the academy run by player headquarters, which is operated over there. Every word she said clearly showed her concern. He needed to learn the basics step by step, but Jinwoo refused. No, it's okay, little sis. There's nothing I need to learn or be curious about. He had already calculated the path for himself in his mind. Because from now on, I'm going to plant myself here and grind levels anyway. Jin still felt worried and asked again, Are you sure you'll be okay? Jinwoo continued to reassure her, you should go on ahead. Thanks for showing me the way. Seeing this, she finally replied, Are you planning to stay here? Taking a few steps forward, he replied, I'm planning to look around by myself for a bit. Hearing this, Jin nodded as if she understood. I see. However, she still felt very worried. Appa has been acting so strange lately. It's like he's been possessed by something. He just woke up not too long ago. Will he really be okay? Jin had to tell herself, all right. He must be trying really hard to figure things out, so I guess I can only watch from the sidelines. She shouted after him, Don't push yourself too hard. Call me if you need help. Jinwoo just gave a short reply before disappearing from Jin's sight. Got it. Only then did he look around and raise his guard. There shouldn't be anyone coming around here, right? Once he was certain, Jinwoo began to summon Ramba. She appeared with an excited look on her face. Seeing this, Jinwoo quickly raised his hand to cover Ramba's mouth. This sudden action made her wonder, well, what is it? Jinwoo's face looked incredibly serious as he declared, Ramba, from now on, you are not to speak when we are outside. Got it. This confused Ramba. Why? He instructed her carefully, because we can't let others notice you. From now on, you can only speak inside dungeons. Understand? If you understand, nod your head. Good. Then he sat down in a spot and started calculating. Now I should organize my thoughts a bit. I'll need some starting capital. To start grinding dungeons and all that. On his phone at that moment, Jinwoo's account balance was clearly displayed. Looking at that pathetic number, he could only sigh helplessly. This is my life. Jinwoo couldn't stop asking himself, could it get any more pathetic? Even though I was in an accident, I never expected my bank account to have only this much. If I go back to working a part-time job like before, it'd just be a waste of time. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Damn it, Jinwoo's train of thought continued. I'm sure someone would ask, why don't you just ask your parents? But that's just a ridiculous thing to say, because they're still working 3 jobs at once just to support this house. Thinking about this, he asked himself again, and I'm supposed to hold out my hand and ask my parents for money on top of that. If I did that, I wouldn't be human anymore. I'd be no different from an animal. Jinwoo's face was now half sad, half determined. It doesn't matter even if I have to start all over again. I can still do it. He continued to think about other things. The reason why God Jinwoo was unrivaled was because I was a free-to-play grinder. Looking at the screen in front of him, Jinwoo started calculating. A classic trashy game. The pay-to-win element was insane. I think Baekho once said he threw in 300 million won, right? And yet I still hit number 1 without spending a single cent. The determination in his eyes was clear. Just because this is reality now, does that mean I can't do it? Just you wait. I'll definitely be back. But then a notification suddenly appeared. Received 500,000 won. Jinwoo's voice rose in surprise. What the hell? Where did this money suddenly come from? Don't tell me. This is some kind of new player benefit or something. Along with the transfer notification were 2 messages from Jinwoo's mother. Mom, my son, I heard from Ajin that you were already trying to do your best as soon as you woke up. Right, I know you. You probably wouldn't open your mouth to ask for allowance money, so use this for now. Reading this, he suddenly felt a sting in his eyes. Mom. The memories of his time in a coma were coming back. All this time worrying and taking care of me. Mom probably didn't have any money, she only suffered. And yet why? Her sincere words of hope always reached him. Jinwoo, my son. Jinwoo's mother had gently pleaded, Mom is right here, so please open your eyes. Please be healthy again. He quickly wiped away the tear that was about to fall while muttering, Mom. Thank you, Mom. His hand clenched into a fist, showing his clear resolve. Please just wait for me, Mom. I will definitely succeed. Jinwoo's face was set with a determined expression. I'll make sure my family lives a comfortable life. He looked at the information screen in front of him and started calculating. Others have gotten a 3-year head start on me. If I want to catch up, every single second counts. The first step is, to become the strongest, I have to act the part. I need to gather materials for growth, so I have to conquer dungeons. Therefore, Jinwoo started by summoning more summons. Player Baek Jinwoo had bought 3 low-grade summon scrolls. First, I need to build a team. The first one is Player Baek. Jinwoo obtained an F-rank slime summon. The second one, Player Baek Jinwoo, obtained an F-rank horned butterfly summon. And finally, Player Big. Jinwoo obtained an E-rank poison lizard summon. Observing the 3 creatures that had just appeared, he couldn't help but wonder. I got an E-rank. I'm pretty lucky, huh? If you count Ramba, who's also an E-rank, that means I've hit that 5% chance twice in just 5 pulls. Jinwoo continued to calculate carefully. The poison lizard's performance is pretty decent, too. His gaze turned to the slime. I'll just use this guy for a while and then get rid of it. Looking over the whole team one more time, Jinwoo made an assessment. All right, this team composition is fine for now. Pull summons, equip them according to the battle situation, and then level them up, he thought to himself. In other words, grinding mobs, hunting monsters, and tearing through 10 million scrolls. That's all there is to a boss's growth system. I can handle that level of grinding any day. He was even already planning for the distant future. And if I gather all 10 of those S-rank summons, a full S-rank team or the 100th floor of the Tower of Trials, I could easily clear anything. So first, I need to find the remaining S-ranks. Okay. Jinwoo slowly took a step forward. All right. A confident smile spread across his face. Now there's just one last step. Taking out his phone, Jinwoo muttered, First I have to find a dungeon location. He thought to himself, back when this was a mobile game, I just had to tap on the stage and I was in. Looks like this won't be as easy as in the game. Then he couldn't help but wonder, so how does it work in the real world? However, just a second later, his eyes shot wide open. Jinwoo yelled at the top of his lungs, What the hell is this? His shouting annoyed the people around him. Does that guy think he owns this player zone or something? Jinwoo started to read what was written on his phone screen. Even if you have summons. That important piece of information was presented next to a picture of a cat with horns. Today we're going to learn about entering dungeons. But first, did you all know that you can't just enter a dungeon simply because you have a summon? You can't just go in. The guide went on to talk about how dungeon gates appear randomly regardless of location and that a dungeon's difficulty can be determined by the energy it emits. But the rules have changed, so no matter how easy the dungeon is, if a rookie wants to enter, can they? The answer is no. Oh, come on. And only those who have officially registered as a player are allowed to enter. Jinwoo sat helplessly on a bench, a displeased look on his face as he muttered, "Fate really is a bitch. Why did I have to wake up right after the laws changed?" Ramba's hand gently touched his shoulder. Her expression clearly said, "Cheer up, Jinwoo." Her gesture made Jinwoo feel a little better. He patted her head and replied, "Thanks, Ramba." Suddenly the phone in Jinwoo's pocket rang. The person on the other end was none other than Ajin. "Hello, Oppa." She didn't beat around the bush and got straight to the point. "What time are you coming home?" "Mom's asking what you want to eat tonight." On his end of the line, Jinwoo quickly replied, "I can just grab something to eat myself. More importantly, did you know about this?" Ajin asked blankly, "Know about what?" He answered concisely, "About having to register as a player first before you can enter." "A dungeon." This information made her shoot bolt upright. "Oh, that's right," Jinwoo asked half-jokingly. "You didn't intentionally hide that from me, did you?" She vehemently denied it. "Of course not. I seriously just forgot." Then she explained more seriously. "Anyway, that regulation is pretty new. It's because so many people were dying in dungeons that the government had to intervene." Hearing this, Jinwoo couldn't help but be surprised. That many people died, Ajin continued to explain in detail. It was an unspeakable tragedy. Total chaos. So now they actually have staff posted right in front of the dungeon entrances to block people. You absolutely cannot just go in by yourself. In his mind, Jinwoo summed it up in one short phrase, "What a pain." Next, he had to figure out his next move. He looked into it and found out there were tests, combat evaluations, and registration too. What a pain in the ass! Is this all to control the number of players? In truth, Jinwoo also understood. If everyone was blinded by greed and became a player sooner or later, it would create cracks in the social system. On her end, Ajin brought up another topic. "Oh, right, Appa. There's also a ranking system." Confused Jinwoo asked back. "A ranking system?" She explained thoroughly. "That system ranks the top 100 domestic and international players each year. 1 Rachel Rose, 2 Yoshida Hikaru, 3 William Zenos, 4 Alexandro Veskov, 5 Dulong Kai, 6 Olivia Abinati, 7 Gareth Bale, 8 Bach Pochettino. Our country can't even crack the global rankings. It's truly pathetic." And then another name was brought up. If the legend god Jinwoo were to appear, our country's standing would skyrocket. Hitting a sore spot, Jinwoo hurriedly hung up the phone. Of course he did. "Anyway, thanks for letting me know. I'm hanging up now." Afterwards, he silently stared at his phone for a long while before finally coming to a decision. "Since I'm pretty much ready for now, yeah, let's just call it a day." The pot on the stove was now boiling vigorously. Jinwoo's father and mother were sharing a quiet moment together when a sudden sound made his father look up. He saw that his son was already prepared to leave the house. He couldn't help but feel a pang of worry. "Son, you're up already." "It's only 6 in the morning." Jinwoo answered politely. "Yes, I have to head out early." His mother then chimed in, "Jinwoo, are you leaving already? At least have a little something to eat before you go." But Jinwoo politely refused. "No, it's all right, I'm fine." As he was tying his shoelaces, he suddenly paused, then spoke gently. "Mom. Dad." A bright smile spread across Jinwoo's face. "I'm sorry for everything up until now, for only ever showing you my worst sides. And thank you." After saying that, he walked out of the house. He left the two of them standing there with stunned expressions. "I'm off." Jinwoo's father scratched his head and mumbled, "Geez, that kid. He's making me feel all embarrassed, dear." But his mother was worried about something else. "Our Jinwoo? Will he be all right?" Seeing the look on her face, his father gently reassured her. "Don't worry. The government provides safety training these days. Let's hurry up and eat breakfast so we can get going, too." Jinwoo's mother looked toward the door and mumbled, "You have to be safe, you hear." As for Jinwoo at that moment, this was an era where all of humanity could become players. Among them, South Korea had long drawn attention for its abnormally high death rate in dungeons. The reason for this? The answer was surprisingly simple. It was a kind of main character syndrome born from greed. In layman's terms, players deluded themselves into thinking they were the protagonist of a fantasy world, and because of this delusion, they would recklessly charge into dungeons and die. It had even become such a serious problem that the foreign press speculated that it was because too many talented gamers had disappeared. During this period, their analysis was that this was due to South Korea, once a gaming powerhouse, still remaining in the top 10 of every ranking chart. A man in his 20s dies in a dungeon. How will the body be recovered? Gaming powerhouse South Korea plummets into the abyss. Jin Woo was taking in this information through his phone. Hearing this, he couldn't help but feel bewildered.
I can't believe so many people have died.
All because of some delusion, he thought more deeply. It's a little ironic since I was addicted to this game for 15 years myself, but honestly, that sounds pretty pathetic.
But weren't they scared?
It was only when the female employee up front announced, "Next, please," that Jin Woo moved forward. He presented his information sheet and said, "Here is my application form." The employee quickly replied, "Okay, you're all registered." At that point, Jin Woo asked another question. "Excuse me, how many people will be granted the status of a player?" The answer made his face tense. "Only the 50 people who pass the final exam. It will earn the title of player." Jin Woo glanced behind him as he thought it over, but at that moment, there have to be more than 1,000 people in line behind me. This isn't going to be easy. But in the end, he decided, screw it. Jin Woo thought to himself, if I can't even get past a piddly little thing like this, he steeled his resolve. Then how can I ever be called the Heavenly One? At the cafe for applicants awaiting their results, a stack of profiles was placed on the table with a frustrated comment, "I can't believe we can only choose 50 people from this entire crowd." Bak Trang-seok looked at the stack of papers in front of him and remarked, "If we want to recruit talented Jahan, we need to be choosing a lot more than this." Bak Trang-seok, an examiner from the main headquarters, muttered to himself, "To be honest, those old geezers sitting in their comfy rooms are holding everything up." But before he could finish the thought, he was interrupted by what felt like an attack. "What the?" The person who entered spoke mockingly, Well, Bak Trang-seok." Kim Gang took in the scene before him and added with a challenging tone, "And after you slaughtered every last one of my kids, too. You look pretty relaxed, don't you?" The CEO's face immediately twisted with rage. This damn lunatic. He also quickly used his own summons. A team was rapidly formed as the people around watched the scene. They all had to exclaim, "Look, it's the General Martial Arts Alliance." Of all the places they could have shown up, it had to be here. At that moment, Jin Woo was also drawn in by the commotion. It caught his attention. He looked at the tension between the two of them. What's going on with them? Jin Woo's expression showed he wasn't happy about this. What kind of crazy situation is this? The attention of the people around was focused on the tense scene before them. What's happening all of a sudden? Some of them were even trembling with fear. What should we do? We're not going to die, are we? Just then a member of the Alliance spoke up. It's okay, that man is Park Chang-seok. They call him the Yaksha, the destroyer of the Alliance. Jin Woo also turned his gaze in that direction. He looked at Kim Jiang and a thought flashed through his mind. The Alliance. Followed by a guess. Don't tell me they're using summons for evil deeds now. Park Chang-seok's voice rose, signaling an emergency. He instructed those present. Everyone summon your beasts and use your protective shields. Jin Woo quickly followed suit and summoned Ramba, who was still looking around bewildered, trying to see what was happening. The moment she uttered her first word, Jin Woo immediately covered Ramba's mouth. He whispered a reminder, "Sorry, but you promised you wouldn't talk outside." Over on the other side, Kim Jiang continued his taunts. "So, you're some kind of righteous disciple, are you?" He wasted no time and immediately ordered his red demon to attack. Let's see how long you can last. Jin Woo hid in a spot, cautiously observing the situation. If I get involved for no reason, it'll just be a headache. And so he made a decision. For now, I'll just watch how they fight. The area was quickly devastated. The fire butterfly continuously shot out fireballs. They hit the ground and created explosions, but Kim Jiang's red demon was completely unharmed. This only made him more smug. Is that all you've got? On the other side, Park Chang-seok was starting to get frustrated while Jin Woo mumbled his assessment. He couldn't believe his eyes and blurted out, "This is pathetic." Even Ramba on his head had the same expression. "You call this a fight?" Jin Woo quickly spoke up as she pulled his hair. "That really hurts, Ramba." The people around now started whispering. "Looks like Park Chang-seok is being pushed back. What if he loses?" Every word they spoke was filled with fear. No way. That group definitely wouldn't hesitate to kill ordinary people. Hearing this, Jin Woo couldn't help but wonder, what should I do? He looked at the situation and began to analyze. If I step in to help and get caught up in this... Meanwhile, the red demon was gradually gaining the upper hand, and then he reached a conclusion. I'll die here, before I even get to live a peaceful life. Putting thought into action. Jin Woo approached and spoke to the CEO. "Excuse me." Seeing this, the man tried to stop him. "It's dangerous. Please step back." But he flatly refused. "No. The timing on your fire turtle's skill is off. Then he pointed behind him with an instruction. Look at the buffers behind the red orc. Jinwoo forced the CEO to look at the demons in the back. They're about to cast a fire resistance buff. He explained softly, with that timing, your fire-type attacks will never land. Hearing this, Park Chang-seok quickly thought to himself, every time the buffers in the back use a skill, the orc's body glows red. Is that fire resistance? He quickly came up with a countermeasure. If that's the case, then... The red demon on this side prepared to attack, but the CEO was one step ahead. Right now, Fire Turtle. An extremely powerful pillar of fire shot out, aimed at the red demon. It cried out in pain, unable to defend itself in time. Witnessing this, the CEO couldn't help but cry out with excitement. Amazing. Did it really work? Meanwhile, Kim Jang on the opposite side roared loudly, "Damn it, how did you know?" The moment the wisps of smoke gradually faded away was also when Park Chang-seok's wood-type summon launched its attack. Kim Jiang could only watch helplessly as his support demon was attacked. This is insane, Park's summons. He seized the opportunity and attacked in unison. One red demon took a full rain of fire and was burned to a crisp. Kim Jong watched them disappear and could only mumble in horror. How can this be happening? He was terrified as he saw Jang Seok slowly approaching him. Wait. On Kim Kang's face right now, there was only fear. I'll turn myself in, I surrender, I was wrong. However, Jang Seok's wood-type summoned beast was already moving. It bound him tightly despite his pleas. Please spare me, I'll never be a gangster again. Jang Seok cut him off with a declaration. Shut up. His voice was grave. You know that members of the Alliance are executed on the spot. Kim Kang watched helplessly as the branches wrapped around his body. No! Jang Seok coldly declared a single word. Now! At the command, the summoned beast immediately tightened its grip. It turned Kim Kang into an exploding bubble. Only then did the people around finally feel some relief. Is it over? They started cheering for Jang Seok. We won! Park Jang Seok won. He's amazing. Park Jang Seok even seemed thrilled to witness Kim Kang's death. That bastard deserved it. Headquarters is the best. This new measure of value made Jin-woo wonder, even if he was a criminal cheering like this. When a person was just killed right before their eyes? This world really isn't the place I once knew anymore. His gaze sharpened. Without real determination, it's going to be hard to survive. Meanwhile, Jang Seok was slowly walking towards him. Excuse me, sir, he began politely. Thank you so much for your help earlier. I am Park Jang Seok, an examiner from the player headquarters. He continued his thanks. Thanks to you, I was able to catch that terrorist. As Jin-woo shook his hand, he replied, It was nothing. Jang Seok moved on to another matter. I'd like to give you a reward. May I ask which guild you belong to? It was then that he honestly explained, The thing is, I haven't registered with the headquarters yet. Is that okay? Hearing this, Jang Seok couldn't help but be astonished. What? Out of tens of thousands of summon types, you recognized it in an instant, and yet you haven't even officially registered. Jang Seok continued proposing, Well, do you have your ID card with you? We just need to verify your identity. Jin-woo quickly replied, Yes, I do. Taking the ID card, Jang Seok politely added, Thank you. He briefly explained the procedure. After a background check, a reward will be given in accordance with the regulations. Hearing this, Jin-woo simply replied, I see. He smiled and turned to leave. Well, then I'll leave it in your hands. Jang Seok's expression changed almost instantly. He pressed a button to make a call, then assigned a task to the person on the other end. It's me, I've just sent you some data. The subject of the investigation was none other than Jin-woo. That's right, Baek Jin-woo. And he himself remained completely unaware of this. Investigate him for me. Afterward, Jin-woo returned to where he had summoned Ramba. He held out a pastry in front of her. Here, you must have been frustrated not being able to talk earlier, right? Ramba's eyes sparkled at the sight of the food. He watched her enjoy the pastry. Jin-woo could only think to himself, she really is simple. He felt a great sense of relief as he continued to muse, I hear some players even argue with their summons. But with Ramba, it's easy. A single cream bun solves everything. Then his thoughts shifted to another matter. Anyway, things should be fine. Jin-woo replayed the earlier battle in his head. I didn't intend to interfere at first, but if I hadn't, everyone there might have died. When that red demon had almost won, and then he let out another sigh. The world has changed far more than I imagined. Jin-woo's determination was clear. I can't put off hunting any longer. As for his next targets, first, I have to gather summoning scrolls as fast as possible and call forth my next summon. The reason for this choice is that my top priorities are the Goblin and the Dragon Mage. Since they're E rank and D rank, I can get them from low-grade summoning scrolls. Nearby Ramba was already full. Jinwoo stood up and gestured, "All right." A bright smile appeared on his face. "Time to get going, shall we?" In the middle of the bustling park, Jang Sok exclaimed, "What?" He quickly asked again. Baek Jinwoo was hospitalized for 3 years because of a car accident. At that moment, Jang Sok realized, no wonder he's an unregistered player. Old events came flooding back. Come to think of it, 3 years ago was when the world was turned upside down. With all that chaos, accidents were common, so in a way it makes sense. The person from headquarters quickly added, "Yes, furthermore, he applied to become a player right after being discharged from the hospital." Hearing that, he was startled. What? In his haste? Jang Seok reviewed Jinwoo's information line by line. Staring at the screen, he suddenly mumbled, "Is this for real? What the hell is this?" The other person, finding this odd, asked, "Is something wrong, senior?" However, he immediately denied it. "No, it's nothing." After a moment of thought, Jang Seok suddenly proposed, "By the way, about the examiner assigned for this month. Tell them I'll be handling it personally this time. Don't ask why." The person on the other end quickly replied, "Yes, I understand." With that, a beep signaled the end of the call. This left Jang Seok lost in thought. Waking up after an accident is one thing, but to immediately apply to be a player right after that kid's ability to adapt must be incredibly fast. The more he thought about it, the wider his smile grew. Baek Jinwoo. He could become an extraordinary talent. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was now inside a stately building. He walked forward slowly, one step at a time. The air was filled with fresh murmurs of awe. Jinwoo looked ahead hesitantly. He knew it would be crowded, but seeing the suffocating crowd, he wondered in disbelief. Are all these people here for the training session? Jinwoo thought to himself, so I have to get past all of these competitors just to become a player. Still, he was completely calm about it. This will be a piece of cake. After all, no one understands the game better than I do. Just then, a set of rhythmic footsteps echoed through the hall. He didn't have to wait long before an examiner spoke up. "Is everyone present?" This made him watch eagerly. "It's starting!" However, Jinwoo's expression quickly froze in shock. Standing right in front of him, Jang Seok announced loudly, "I am Park Jang Seok, an examiner from the main headquarters. I will now begin the pre-written exam training session." Sometime later, the afternoon sun had begun to soften. Jinwoo and Jang Seok were meeting in a coffee shop. "You were a bit surprised, weren't you?" At his question, Jinwoo answered, flustered, Yes, I wasn't expecting you to be the examiner." Jang Seok smiled. "I suppose this is what people call fate. So how was the training session?" But this time, Jinwoo hesitated again. "The training session?" He recalled a moment from earlier when Jang Seok was lecturing the group. "This is a common format you'll see on the written exam." Hearing that had made Jinwoo jump. When considering sum and combinations this here, his sudden movement had also accidentally woken the sleeping Lamba. "What the—" Meanwhile, Jinwoo was fuming. "Are you kidding me? Isn't this the exact combo I made popular years ago? Hey, if you're going to use that, at least ask for my permission first." Still, he forced himself to hold it back. "It wasn't bad," he said stiffly, "though I'll admit I was a little annoyed." A laugh came from Jang Seok. "I'm glad to hear it." Then he suddenly cleared his throat. "The reason I asked to meet you separately, Jinwoo, is about the reward I mentioned before." With a serious expression, Jang Seok began to speak. "But before that, there's something I'd like to ask you." Jinwoo replied, curious. "What is it?" Getting his assent, he asked immediately, "Jinwoo, by any chance were you once a gamer?" Hearing that term, Jinwoo looked surprised. "A gamer," Jang Seok quickly added. "A gamer is what we call people who used to play Summoner Wars. It doesn't matter how long they played. As long as they played the game, they're called a gamer. With Summoner Wars, 70% of the Korean population were gamers." Thanks to his explanation, it clicked for Jinwoo. Come to think of it, it is a bit strange for someone who isn't even an official player to know about summon buffs, and so he admitted it. "Yes, I did used to play." His answer made Jang Seok excited. "I knew it." "May I ask how long you played for?" Jinwoo hesitated at the question. It was a dead game with barely any players left. If he said 15 years, he'd be identified instantly. After a moment's thought, he gave a number in a low voice. "About a year." But contrary to his worries, Jang Seok suddenly leaned forward. "Are you serious?" His extreme reaction left Jinwoo bewildered. Yes, is something wrong?" "What the hell? Did I lowball it too much?" As for Jang Seok, he looked as if he'd just discovered a treasure. "You really played that dead game for an entire year. That's incredible." Jinwoo, on the other hand, was feeling extremely awkward. Can't argue with that. Then Jinwoo said stiffly, yes, it just kind of ended up that way. Chang Seok, meanwhile, was ecstatic. Most Korean players played for less than half a year, but he played for a whole year. But he quickly returned to the main topic. My apologies for getting carried away. I've prepared 2 reward options for you. Please choose the one you want. After listening, Jinwoo nodded. All right, I understand. And so he quickly laid out the options. First, I will not only use my authority to grant you your player registration immediately, Chang Seok said with great confidence, an instant exemption from the entrance exam, but I will also guarantee you a position at the main headquarters. Jinwoo, meanwhile, listened casually with his chin in his hand. And the second option is... Chang Seok deliberately stressed the next words. A cash reward of 5 million won. Jinwoo immediately thought to himself, well, this is an obvious choice, isn't it? As for Chang Seok, he was smiling smugly to himself. So what do you think? Not just registration, but a job at headquarters, a place that's harder to get into than a major corporation. Of course, he'll choose the first option. But Jinwoo's voice cut in firm and clear. I'll take the money. Hearing that, he was completely shocked. What did you say? What, but if you don't take it, the player registration process will take a very long time. Isn't that right? Jinwoo, however, remained coolly detached. I appreciate your concern, but I'll be fine on my own. As he spoke, he stood up from his seat. I can handle the registration myself, Jinwoo said firmly, and I don't really intend to join the headquarters anyway. I'm busy looking for a summon. I don't have time to waste like this. He and his summoned beast went to take the test, and it wasn't long before a staff member called his name. Contestant Baek Jinwoo. With a ready mindset, he replied, yes. Then she professionally gave the instructions. As you heard earlier, for the practical exam, you just need to conquer the daily dungeon. This time, you'll be entering the 3rd dungeon. The format is a time attack, so you need to conquer it as fast as possible. At the same time, CEO Jang was observing them from behind, still bewildered. I never thought he would refuse. Suddenly, CEO Jang's brow furrowed with even more tension as he recalled what happened earlier. An amazed exclamation rang out. This is insane. He understands runes and summons more deeply than anyone. The people from the research institute were overjoyed. Why didn't I think of this sooner? Thanks to this contestant Baek Jinwoo, I've just realized how narrow my own vision was. Another person was so moved they started to cry, South Korea finally has a true genius. He even claimed that if things went well, this guy could make it into the rankings. This left Chang Seok stunned and bewildered. Is he really that good? Back in the present, his regret grew even stronger. This is the first time I've seen those arrogant professors react like that. I should have given him a better offer. At that moment, the staff member gestured towards the gate. The explanation ends here. You may enter now. Jinwoo approached the entrance. Well then, should I head inside with my curiosity, the gorilla and Ramba, to see what happens? The space instantly transformed. The system's energy enveloped him in a brilliant golden light. Soon they were standing in a completely different atmosphere. The dungeon description appeared before his eyes. A room full of highly venomous slimes. Defeat the slimes and quickly escape the dungeon. Without further hesitation, Jinwoo gave his first command. Ramba. Upon hearing its name, Ramba sprang into action. I'll start building stacks immediately, and thanks to this resonance, the gorilla's power continuously increased. The 3rd dungeon is a maze. Its structure involves defeating slimes while finding the path to eventually face the boss. It's also where newcomers waste all their time, by getting lost until time runs out. After making his calculations, a slight smirk formed on Jinwoo's lips. He created a shield and charged straight ahead. However, the slimes are very slow. I'll just ignore them and run straight through. Ramba also shouted, let's go. At the same time, Jinwoo thought to himself, I've gotten lost in this place so many times, I'm sick of it. So finding the way is just child's play. And with that confidence, they headed straight for a door over there. And as soon as the door opened, Jinwoo immediately ran through it. If I take this shortcut, it'll be over. But just then, danger warnings began to blare one after another. Jinwoo, however, looked very expectant. This is our first real confrontation, isn't it, right before his eyes? Ah, a giant slime was lying in wait. A giant slime. Jinwoo excitedly gave the order to attack. Rambo, standing beside him, energetically cast a spell, Let's Rock. Go! The gorilla eagerly charged straight ahead. It leaped high into the air, preparing to strike its opponent. The gorilla used all its strength to deliver a fierce punch downwards. Its barrage of punches made Jinwoo exclaim in admiration. Just as expected. There's a reason Ramba is considered so overpowered, he thought proudly. Even an F-rank summon, it can have its attack speed boosted to that level. Jinwoo watched, feeling the excitement himself. Imagine how insane it would be if that attack speed boost were applied to another summon. On the other side, Rambo was enthusiastically cheering for the gorilla. Perfect, awesome, crush it. The system quickly displayed a notification. You have defeated the boss monster. It continued confirming the time for Jinwoo. The Daniel has been conquered in 5 minutes and 32 seconds. He read it and sighed in resignation. So slow. Back when I was Jinwoo God, it took me less than a minute. Oh well, I guess this is what you get from an F rank. The system notifications kept popping up. Congratulations, you have set a new record for South Korea. Special achievement unlocked. Jinwoo was stunned and muttered, "What?" The notifications continued to pour in. First-time achievement reward is being delivered. High-grade summoning scroll times 3. Additional reward is being delivered. Low-grade abrasive times 12. This result was completely beyond his expectations. A new record for South Korea. Back in the familiar room, a startled voice cried out, "Senior, look at this! The record has changed!" The female employee from headquarters' eyes widened as she came over. "What? Where?" Her subordinate quickly pointed. "The third basic Daniel, conquered in 5 minutes and 32 seconds. The headquarters employee muttered in astonishment. Just 5 minutes. They shaved off so much time. Did Kang Ji-hoon find a new combination? She then saw the person's information card, Baek Jinwoo. Age 20. Nationality South Korea. Date of birth, X10XX, October 22nd. Abilities, the headquarters employee remarked honestly. "I've never heard this name before." Her subordinate speculated doubtfully. "I don't think he's a ranked player." This theory shocked her even more. So an unknown player broke the record, and the #1 record at that. The news quickly spread to the general headquarters meeting. A stunned employee whispered, "This is truly astounding. Baek Jinwoo." She wasn't the only one. Someone else was just as excited. In his mind, Jang Seok was praising Jinwoo to the heavens. There's no doubt about it. He's the real deal. Baek Jinwoo is a national treasure. He made a firm resolution. No matter what we have to keep him. If our country wants to survive, we absolutely must prevent him from being naturalized by another country. CEO Jang urgently ordered his subordinate. "Register Baek Jinwoo as a player immediately." The female employee asked in astonishment. "What, without even needing a placement match?" CEO Jang analyzed eloquently. "As you all know, the time attack is divided into domestic and global rankings. The #1 spot in South Korea held by Kang Jun-ho is 6 minutes and 41 seconds. The #1 global spot held by Jae Thorne is 2 minutes and 25 seconds. He stood and addressed everyone directly to persuade them. Baek Jinwoo has surpassed the time of South Korea's top ranker. Does a player placement match even have any meaning at this point? CEO Jang concluded decisively. "I believe that talented individuals must be given special privileges." The magnificent general headquarters building loomed into view. Jinwoo was there feeling utterly dismayed. "I can't believe 5 minutes became the top record. Is this really the extent of South Korea's level?" A familiar voice called out, "Young Mr. Baek Jinwoo." CEO Jang greeted him with a beaming smile. "I've been so eager to meet you, my boy." Seeing that expression, Jinwoo flinched. "He looks terrifying." The moment we met, he went on and on. "I saw your time attack record. It was truly amazing. You actually broke the Korean record in a single run. How on earth did you do it?" Jang Seok asked excitedly. "Besides, the third dungeon's maze is insanely complex." "Right." Jinwoo could only laugh awkwardly and play along. "I guess so." He thought shyly, "This feels like being praised for being a fish that's good at swimming." Jang Seok personally handed him a card. "First, please take this." Jinwoo took the card, muttering in astonishment. "This is..." The man explained excitedly, "This is a player card. You've been specially registered as a player effective immediately," Jang Seok added emphatically. "Because you have nothing left to prove." Player Baek Jinwoo. Upon receiving the card, Jinwoo was also quite pleased. "This isn't bad." Suddenly, the man hesitated and continued. "By the way," CEO Jang politely voiced his question. "May I ask how you managed to break the record?" Holding the player card in his hand, Jinwoo suddenly hesitated. He considered carefully. "If I share what I know now, Korea's overall level will skyrocket in the blink of an eye." Jinwoo had to think this through carefully. The problem is what happens after that. Best case scenario. Worship Lord Jinwoo. If I'm lucky, I'll enjoy fame and fortune with the government's backing. But he also considered the worst-case scenario, being kidnapped by bad guys to have information extracted. Spill everything you know. I've already told you everything. Or I could be forcibly dragged away and stripped of everything. After weighing his options, Jinwoo carefully began to speak. First about your last question, he confronted Jang Sok directly. You know that was extremely rude, right? The man understood and readily admitted his fault. Yes, I apologize. CEO Jang continued frankly. A player's strategy is only shared among other players. It's extremely sensitive information. But he still tried to persuade Jin Woo. But please understand. That's how desperate Korea is for talented people. He could feel Jang Seok's determination. He doesn't seem like a bad person. Jin Woo silently assessed the man's behavior. He transferred the promised money right away. His personality is fine. He also seems very reasonable. He smiled, intrigued as an idea struck him. What if I try using the government? If I play my cards right, I might be able to grow even faster than if I were on my own. And so Jin Woo spoke up. Examiner, CEO Jang replied nervously. Yes. He officially suggested a private meeting. Shall we move to another location for a moment? The location was a cozy cafe nearby. CEO Jang directly expressed his desire. I'll get straight to the point. Please help us. He emphasized sincerely, headquarters needs your knowledge. Player Baek Jin-woo. CEO Jang also frankly revealed, we investigated and heard that you were bedridden in a hospital for 3 years. Jin-woo looked slightly annoyed. You ran a background check on me. Faced with that question, he had to confess. I apologize, but unregistered players with high skills are very likely to be members of the union. Jin-woo's face hardened as he retorted, I'm registered now. So there won't be any more investigations, right? Don't do it again. CEO Jang could only promise obediently, yes. Jin-woo's nonchalant attitude also made him suspicious. Normally, when the government is mentioned, people get scared and try their best to cooperate. CEO Jang thought to himself, but this kid shows no sign of that.
He knows his own value very well.
Jin-woo put down his coffee cup and got down to business. First of all, I've actually been thinking about this. What's in it for me if I help the government? CEO Jang declared decisively, cooperation from me. You don't seem to quite understand what that means. Cooperation. He proudly introduced himself to Jin Woo. It's a bit embarrassing to say, but I actually hold a rather high position at headquarters. CEO Jang continued to explain, the examiners at headquarters are chosen by public vote. So if my performance is good, I can get more votes and climb even higher. Jin Woo vaguely understood the concept. So he's like a politician. After explaining, CEO Jang stated firmly, therefore, he held his head high and made a firm promise. Within the scope of my authority, I will provide you with all possible support. Jin Woo silently considered. That sounds a bit unappealing. The compensation is vague. And since he's a public servant, he can't just use funds as he pleases. Finally, he made his decision. In that case, Jin Woo tapped his fingers on the table and said seriously, then let's do this. He made his demand directly, just 1 month. CEO Jang couldn't help but be surprised by the short time frame. What? Jin Woo smiled and confidently explained his condition. Since I've just registered for 1 month, I'll require your support while I grow. He also clearly laid out the addendums. If I feel it's working out, we can continue to cooperate. If not, I'll return everything I've received, or I'll give you information equivalent to its value. CEO Jang couldn't help but laugh at Jin Woo's cunning. So, what he's saying right now is that he's going to use me as his personal assistant for a month, he thought with amusement. The nerve of this kid, but I have no other choice. Then CEO Jang extended his hand and magnanimously accepted. All right, because he was certain of one thing, staying close to that kid would definitely be more profitable. Shaking hands with Jin Woo was as good as sealing the deal, so they would just go with that. Jin Woo continued his discussion with CEO Jang. First, there's something I need to ask you. He made his request in a serious tone. Please don't let word of my new skill get out. Jin Woo stated honestly, I'm worried about my safety. A question suddenly occurred to CEO Jang. Excuse me, but if it's a matter of your safety, the Bureau can... But he quickly understood. No. CEO Jang silently assessed the situation. A bureau that can't even handle a single gang. How could they possibly protect a top-tier talent? He clenched his fist in frustration. And Jin Woo knew it too. In the end, CEO Jang agreed with him. I understand. I'll do my best to keep this under control. He quickly added, but over time, some information is still bound to leak out. That's unavoidable. Before he could finish, Jin Woo stood up. That's good enough. He turned to leave without a second thought. Well then, I'll be taking my leave. All the flustered CEO Jong could do was say goodbye. See you next time, Jinwoo. In the end, Jinwoo had gotten what he wanted. Good. Now I've made him keep his mouth shut. He pulled out his phone, thinking excitedly, time to check out the rewards I got earlier. Jinwoo checked the system and was blown away. He stared, muttering, "These rewards are insane. The polish is whatever." But there are high-grade summon scrolls, too. The system displayed 2 incredible rewards: high-grade summon scroll ×3 and low-grade polish solution ×2. Jinwoo nodded. Just as expected from a first conquest achievement reward, you only get it once per player. But then he hesitated, thinking, I really want to open them right now, but gambling with just 3 scrolls is a little... Jinwoo whispered to himself, maybe it'd be better to just sell them for cash. Suddenly he remembered something. Ah, that's right. I still have that. Jinwoo immediately pulled out his phone. The Player Network. A place where only registered players could access it, and where almost all item transactions took place. He was unconsciously reminded of Jang Sok's mirror, or at least that's what the old councilman had told him when he installed it. Back then, he had insisted, you absolutely have to use this. I highly recommend it. And so Jinwoo started searching. Let's see the prices. After looking, he froze and let out a stunned, huh. Jinwoo shoved the phone right up to his face as if he couldn't believe his eyes. What? He mumbled, trembling. A high-grade one costs as much as 3 million sao. Stunned, Jinwoo quickly did the math. So that means I just earned 900,000 won from a 5-minute dungeon run. This is insane. His inner capitalist spirit suddenly awoke. And this is just at my current level. Once my stats get even higher, the prospect of wealth was intoxicating. Jinwoo thought to himself, Mom, Dad, and Ah-jin too. I'll never let any of you. I'll never worry about money ever again. His whole family looked at him happily. My son Jinwoo. My brother Jinwoo. He began to seriously sort through his items. First, I'll sell these high-grade summon scrolls. And with that money, I'll buy up low-grade summon scrolls. The Army Trainer and the Fire Dragon Mage. They're both game-breaking summons that can even take down an S-ranker. Until I can summon those two, I'm only going to open low-grade scrolls. His listing was up, selling 3 high-grade summon scrolls. But as he browsed for a bit, Jinwoo noticed something. He quickly found a problem. You usually get a ton of these low-grade ones from dungeon runs, so why do they cost 5,000 won apiece, and even though there are far more sellers than buyers? He couldn't find anyone selling them for less. An idea sparked in Jinwoo's mind. In times like these, the person on the other end of the line picked up immediately. Hello. The person he'd called was none other than Ah-jin. Big bro, what's up? Jinwoo thought slyly. Time to use my lucky charm. His explanation didn't take long at all. Ah-jin quickly caught on. Oh, that... The Bureau buys them. Jinwoo asked, confused, the Bureau why? Beats me, she said casually from the other end. I heard it's to support the low rankers or something like that. Ah-jin kindly explained the process. They use the national budget to buy up summon scrolls in large quantities, and the floor price is always 5,000 won, but they only buy a limited number each day. She stressed one point. Since they can always sell to the Bureau, no one is willing to lower their prices. They just hold steady and wait. Thanks to Ah-jin, it all clicked for Jinwoo. So that's how it is. Ah-jin quickly added, but it looks like that policy is about to be abolished soon. He asked in surprise. Really, why's that? She stated plainly. It's an old policy from the early days. So now the Bureau has mountains of low-grade scrolls that they don't even use. This was exactly what Jinwoo needed to hear. Is that so? Thanks for letting me know. I'm gonna hang up now. He smiled slyly, deciding to take full advantage of this opportunity. So the low-rank scrolls are in massive surplus, huh? If that was the case. The next day at CEO Jang's office, he brightly greeted the key figure. Welcome, my boy Jinwoo, CEO. Jang laughed with excitement. You must have missed me to come back so soon, right? Jinwoo deliberately dodged the question. Yeah, something like that. The CEO continued with a warm smile. So what can I do for you? Jinwoo began hesitantly. Well... He politely stated his request. I was wondering if I could get some low-rank summon scrolls. CEO Jang looked completely surprised. What, not the mid or high-rank ones? He continued enthusiastically. How many are you planning on taking? Jinwoo went all in. As many as possible. CEO Jang whispered seriously. As many as... He thought carefully. And we get 50,000 of these every day, so giving him some is no problem, but... CEO Jang got straight to the point. I can give them to you. But if you're planning to sell them for a profit, Jinwoo calmly explained, it's not like that. Besides, they're just collecting dust on the market anyway, so I figured it's better to use them myself. Hearing that, the CEO understood immediately. So you've already thought this through. CEO Jang began to see Jinwoo in a new light. He was a player who was completely different from the rest. If someone like him was going to the trouble of gathering low-rank scrolls like this, then it was clear he was planning something very special. He generously agreed. All right, but I have one condition. Jinwoo looked surprised. A condition, CEO Jang then stated his demand firmly. Then give me one decent piece of intel as a sample. He gave a perfectly logical explanation. I'm a representative at headquarters elected by the people. If I'm caught just handing out scrolls that were purchased with taxpayer money, the people will lose faith in me, CEO Jang stated bluntly. So if you provide me with intel, I'll give you a corresponding number of scrolls in return. You see, I need some kind of insurance for myself at the very least. It seemed Jinwoo had already anticipated this, so he won't just hand them over for free, huh? He grew even more confident. All the better. That means, if I give him good intel, he'll value it accordingly. Jinwoo readily agreed. Sounds good. He began to reveal something. First of all, there's something called a record chain. As expected, CEO Jang had never heard the term before. A record chain. Jinwoo continued. That's right. Currently, the reward for setting the #1 national record is 3 high-rank scrolls per dungeon. Meaning if you clear it in 6 minutes and 20 seconds, you get 3 high-rank summon scrolls, he explained thoroughly. But when another player breaks that record, they can claim the reward again. For example, with a time of 5 minutes and 32 seconds versus 6 minutes and 20 seconds, they'll get 3 high-rank summon scrolls. Taking advantage of this, Jinwoo offered his strategy. So if players take turns shortening the record by just 1 second at a time, they can maximize the total value of the rewards they receive. You can think of it like a relay. 5 minutes and 31 seconds shortened to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. The more they do it, the more South Korea's national strength will increase as well. CEO Jang quickly noted this clever method. I see. In fact, that's a method we've used in the past as well. Most of the current rankers have already claimed that reward once. He agreed immediately. However, there are still a lot of players who have never received any rewards at all, so I don't think this will cause any problems. Jinwoo gave a short nod. I understand, he continued. And the full intel I'm offering is the complete strategy for the 3rd dungeon. CEO Jang clapped his hands enthusiastically. I knew it! His eyes widened as he pressed, That's the method you use this time. Right. Jinwoo looked a bit tired of the CEO's enthusiasm. No! This is what the 5 monarchs used. He already said he remembered all their names, so he wouldn't have believed me anyway. He continued to explain the method. That's right. With this method, anyone who follows it can clear the dungeon in about 3 minutes. CEO Jang exclaimed excitedly, 3 minutes? What in the world is it? Suddenly, Jinwoo cut him off with a serious expression. Before we get into that, he quickly held up a hand showing 5 fingers. Jinwoo started to make his deal. We should decide on a fair price for this information. On top of the low-rank scrolls you promised, I want an additional 50 high-rank summon scrolls. What do you say? CEO Jang was stunned. Excuse me, but 50 scrolls. That's 150 million. He remained firm. Frankly, that's still a bargain, Jinwoo stated bluntly. This strategy works even in high-rank dungeons, not just the low-level ones. And the amount of record rewards you'll get from it alone, it was already worth billions of won. Of course, CEO Jang couldn't argue with that, and that's exactly why he finally decided to accept the deal. CEO Jang enthusiastically declared, If your information is accurate, I will have 150 million won transferred immediately, and we will provide you with 10 low-grade summon scrolls every day. Pleased with this transaction, Jinwoo smiled and assured him, You won't regret this agreement. The day was drawing to a close when someone's voice rang out, Examiner, sir, everyone has gathered. Jang Xiok's team members had assembled. Why a sudden meeting right at quitting time? A smile was on his face. I called you here because there's something I want to test. The young man opposite him heard this and also got excited. Whoa, the examiner never calls us in like this for no reason. So this definitely isn't just an ordinary test. Right, Jang Xiok began his explanation. Everyone knows the record for the 3rd instance dungeon was just broken. Right. Those listening were all focused on the topic. I've heard about that. I believe his name was Baek Jinwoo. Jang Seok's face was brimming with confidence as he revealed this. I've obtained an amazing strategy from overseas. I tested it with player Baek Jinwoo, and the results were absolutely perfect. However, the people in front of him were a little bewildered. Is that for real? So that's why he told us not to leak this information. They were quick enough to guess his purpose. So the reason you called us here is... CEO Jang didn't hesitate to admit it. That's right. He declared seriously, from this moment on, we will be conducting timed runs in the third instance dungeon. After that, we'll start preparing the team formation by summoning a summoned beast. The key to conquering this dungeon is this little guy right here. Look at that spotted Komodo. The other members were confused. Isn't that just a spotted Komodo? Because the truth is, the spotted Komodo is a summoned beast of the spotted lizard species roughly the size of an adult human. It has high durability and decent attack power, a typical fighter type. At least that's the common knowledge everyone has. The basic info is as follows. Spotted Komodo B-grade height, 170 centimeters, an all-rounder summoned beast, capable of both tanking and dealing damage. However, in reality, because it's B-grade, it's not at all easy to raise. What is this thing? It's completely useless. Compared to other B grades, both its damage-dealing and tanking abilities are very mediocre, making it a summoned beast that players often ignore. However, what players don't know is that the spotted Komodo's main food is the delicious giant slime. As long as it's fed inside the dungeon where it can hunt, giant slimes, it makes a world of difference. At a high-rise building at this moment, a series of announcements appeared one after another. Third Instance Dungeon National Rookie Rank 1, Park Chun-sik. Clear time, 5 minutes and 31 seconds. Third Instance Dungeon National Rookie Rank 1, Lee Yong-min. Clear time, 5 minutes and 29 seconds. The test participants were all ecstatic. Examiner, everything you said was true. We reached the final boss room. In less than 4 minutes, that Komodo dragon's appetite is no joke. This little guy is a real lifesaver. They quickly came to a single conclusion. From now on, we don't have to worry about clearing up the mobs anymore. We can even challenge the world record. Time passed, and a few days later a news report appeared on a screen. Cacao News. News summary: industry, finance, securities, retail, pharmaceuticals, politics, society, gaming. Education culture. South Korea continuously breaks records in third instance dungeon. Could General Manager Jang Seok's Yaksha be behind this? Below was another article. Examiner Park Chang-seok acquired valuable information at a low price from overseas. Can they challenge the world record? The public is incredibly excited about this potential for growth. Reading this, Chang-seok couldn't help but feel satisfied. This makes things more certain. Baek Jinwoo's value has already far surpassed that of a typical first-year player, and far beyond normal. He himself came to a conclusion. I've made my decision. I'm going to form a specialized team just for Baek Jinwoo. In CEO Jang's hand was a stack of profiles. As for the members, he fanned them out on the table and muttered excitedly, "These three should be perfect. That is the file on Jin Jia's father and TCO. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the hand Jinwoo was holding his phone with wouldn't stop trembling. His face showed unconcealable excitement. Was making money always this easy? Mr. Fluffy is really generous." Even Ramba raised her voice. "How many cream-filled pastries could we buy with this much money?" Jinwoo continued to open the information window. In addition to that, right in front of him now was the inventory for summoning scrolls. Low-grade summoning scroll times 10,000. Reading it, he mumbled in satisfaction, 10,000 low-grade summoning scrolls that the staff from headquarters sent this morning. A wicked smile crept onto Jinwoo's face. He kept his promise, so I guess I have to do my part. He casually opened a bottle of water, then turned to the person beside him and asked, "Ramba, are you ready?" She replied eagerly, "Ready!" The water from the bottle was poured out gently. What they were doing was praying before opening a blind pull. "O Lord, O Buddha, O Saint Allah, O spirits of heaven and earth," Ramba prayed fervently. "Please let our Jinwoo summon a masterpiece." It was a summoning ritual she had performed since the age of gods. Once the procedure was complete, Jinwoo took out a summoning scroll. "All right then, right, let's do this." With unwavering faith, he forcefully tore the paper. The moment for an endless chain of summons had begun. But life always has a way of slapping you in the face at the most crucial moments. Jinwoo lay sprawled on the ground, surrounded by a crowd of low-grade summoned beasts. "I've opened 3,600 scrolls in just 1 hour. Shouldn't something decent have dropped by now? Why is everything F-rank?" Ramba poked his cheek with a finger. "You idiot, of course not!" She explained seriously, "Do you think an S-rank like me would drop that easily?" Only to have Jinwoo ask in return, "Why not? Didn't I pull you on my very first try?" Hearing that Ramba explained simply, "That was just a fluke, you know." She then kindly clarified the probability. "You won't even get one with 10,000 scrolls, let alone one. You'd probably need about 1,000,000 of them." Jinwoo couldn't help but be surprised. "What are you talking about?" Seeing his expression, Ramba finally understood. "Jinwoo, you really don't know anything about the summoning system, do you?" Jinwoo repeated blankly. "The summoning system." It was then that Ramba began her explanation. The total number of summoned beasts is exactly 10% of the number of players. 8 billion people equals 800 million summoned beasts. There are probably more than 800 million horned caterpillars just like the ones you just pulled. She pointed a finger at his face as she added, "But the important part is..." Ramba's expression was incredibly serious. "Because we have an isolated status, only one individual of each type can exist." Hearing that Jinwoo was so surprised, he cried out, "What, why?" But this time she could only shrug. "I don't know the reason either," Ramba added at a steady pace. "As I said before, the only thing that is certain right now is that it seems only you can summon the isolated S-rank entities." Jinwoo, his future felt bleaker and bleaker. "There are tens of thousands of different types of summoned beasts, and you're telling me there are 800 million of each type?" Jinwoo broke out in a sweat as he calculated the probability. "And I have to pull a one-of-a-kind S-rank out of all of them." He became instantly depressed. Winning the lottery jackpot back-to-back would be easier than this. Ramba kindly tried to comfort him. "Still don't worry too much before adding more information. Once a summoned beast has been pulled, it won't appear again unless you discard it. For example, let's say all 800 million horned caterpillars have been summoned, and here's the last one. I'm the 800 millionth friend. If that happens, the horned caterpillar will never appear in future summons again." Hearing that, Jinwoo still couldn't help but feel exhausted. Even so, this is still going to be really hard. At this, Ramba could only agree. Right. Feeling stuck, Jinwoo considered doing something reckless. Or maybe, I should just start opening the intermediate grade scrolls. Right now. Luckily, the rational part of his brain stopped him. No, that would be too inefficient. They're expensive, and there aren't many on the market anyway. As he stood up, Jinwoo muttered, "The odds of success are almost 0. But he picked up a scroll and declared loudly, "The odds of success are almost 0. But please just drop..." His plea echoed through the air. Ramba could only cheer him on enthusiastically. "That's it, you can do it, Jinwoo." In the afternoon, the sunset sky cast its warm colors down on the rooftop. Jinwoo put a hand to his neck and sighed, "I'm about to die." With her face buried in a pillow, Ramba mumbled, "Jinwoo, I want cream bread." He sat there in a daze, pinching her cheek as he thought, "Come to think of it, I've already spent all the money I earned in half a year." "Just in 2 weeks!" Ramba shouted, both horrified and worried. "The dark circles under your eyes, Jinwoo. We really almost died in more ways than one." Jinwoo glanced to the side, putting both hands on his head as he stared at the ceiling. "I even had to rent a room near the player zone just to summon the spirit beasts," she said softly. "Cream bread. Anyway, I can't just keep freeloading off my parents forever." He sat up, pressing his hands against the mattress. "Well then, shall we go do some more synthesis today?" "Get up, Ramba." She stretched her body out, her voice full of excitement. Cream bread, the synthesis shop which used to be Hotel 20, only changed recently after the Tower of Trials appeared. Other buildings started changing too, like how this hotel suddenly turned into a synthesis shop. I remember the buffet here. Used to be pretty famous, you know. Jinwoo and Ramba stood in front of a machine. He looked down at the number on the paper and said quietly, "Number 125. She flew up beside him, reminding him, "You better not make any mistakes. Make sure to look carefully before you put them in, got it?" He smiled and replied confidently, "Of course." Jinwoo glanced at the screen and saw his number. "It's our turn. Let's go." The two of them entered a room. He spoke to her, "I'm counting on you again today." "Ramba," she flapped her wings and replied, "We can do this." A system screen quickly appeared before Jinwoo, words gradually materializing. "Welcome to the synthesis shop. Please try synthesizing your summons. Wind Spirit has been registered." He reached out and pressed a button on the screen. "Would you like to synthesize the Wind Spirit?" Information began to flood in continuously. "Frank Fire Lizard has been sacrificed and has disappeared. F-Rank Fire Lizard has been sacrificed and has disappeared. F-Rank Fire Lizard has been sacrificed and has disappeared. F-Rank Blue Bat has been sacrificed and has disappeared. F-Rank Blue Bat has been sacrificed and has disappeared. F-Rank Blue Bat has been sacrificed and has disappeared. F-Rank Poison Goblin has been sacrificed and has disappeared. F-Rank Poison Goblin has been sacrificed and has disappeared." He looked on his eyes, blurring. Man, that's a lot. A mechanical voice sounded from the system. Synthesis complete. The level of the S-Rank Wind Spirit has increased to 21. The intelligence stat of the S-Rank Wind Spirit has increased by 2. Jinwoo clapped, but his face wasn't very happy. I used up 140,000 summons, and she's only reached level 21. Ramba excitedly and hurriedly asked, "How did it go, Jinwoo? Am I strong?" He chuckled in response, thinking to himself, "Our Ramba is the best. The max level is 100. At this rate, when will we ever be done?" A few days later, in a large, tall building, the sound of clacking keyboards echoed along with a humming tune. CEO Jang Seok spoke with a cheerful expression. "Hey, Hongjin, you seem to be in higher spirits than usual today, don't you?" He could only bow his head and reply, "Yes, sir." Why is he in such a good mood? The CEO wondered, flipping through some documents. Now that we've established a talent management team, I'll put all my resources into Baek Jin-woo to take over this region. Jang Seok suddenly turned and asked him, "Hongjin, what is Baek Jin-woo doing right now?" He turned his face away and stammered, well, it seems he's just continuously opening summoning scrolls. He took more scrolls again today. The CEO held the documents, his face showing some surprise. "There's still more," Hongjin continued, and he asked if he could use the 150 million he just received to buy more low-rank summoning scrolls. CEO Jang Seok lowered the stack of papers and looked at him. "What?" Hongjin put a hand to his chin and looked away. He asked if he could buy them for less than the market price. So I told him I'd look into it for now, but lately, the Administration Bureau has been keeping an eye on us for continuously acquiring such large quantities. What should we do? He lowered his gaze to the papers in his hand and thought, he's reinvesting a huge sum of money into low-rank summoning scrolls that are basically worthless. Something is definitely going on. Jang Seok clenched his fist and said, "Sell them to him for half the price." Hearing this, Hongjin jumped to his feet in shock. "What half price?" The CEO clasped his hands together, his voice slow. "If we're caught giving him special treatment like that, then—" Jang Seok suddenly smiled knowingly. "Don't you worry, Hongjin. Baek Jin-woo could become the future hero of Korea. And if it's later revealed that I overcame all obstacles to support him, gaining an even higher approval rating will be a piece of cake." He placed his hand on the table and said, "For now, just do as I say." Jang Seok stood up and gazed out the window. "Besides, this is between me, you, and Tae-seok." The scene changed. Outside, the sun was glaring. Jin-woo, looking completely withered, sat counting scrolls on a patch of empty land. 1,556, 1,557, 1,558, Ramba asked tiredly. "Jin-woo, how much longer do we have to do this?" "I can't feel my hands anymore," he replied in a deadpan tone. "Until I die or you die." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps was heard as someone slowly approached. The person spoke, drawing the attention of them both. "Hello?" She smiled brightly, hands on her hips, and said, "It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Yuzia from the main headquarters." Jinwoo stood up, scratching his head as he replied, "Yeah, so what brings you here?" Yuzia held out her hand and explained, "I'm here to discuss the purchase of the summoning scrolls you talked about with the examiner last time." He immediately caught on and replied, "Yes, that's right. As I mentioned before, is there any possibility of renegotiating the price?" She brought a hand to her cheek, smiled, and said, "Actually, we've already had an internal meeting about that matter. And after considering your recent contributions, Mr. Baek Jin-woo," Yuzia beamed and continued, "just this once, we've decided to give you a special discount, half price, 50% off." Hearing this, he was completely stunned. "Really, Mr. Fluffy is the best." She quickly added, "Yes, and there's more." Jinwoo was incredibly excited to hear Yuzia's words. "Our team has decided to provide you with an additional 100 million. Sao one taken from the reward fund for talented managers." She walked over and placed a finger on her lips, signaling, "However, you must keep this an absolute secret." He quickly clapped his hands excitedly. "Oh my god, of course. Don't you worry about a thing." Yuzia leaned in and whispered in Jinwoo's ear, "And we hope you understand that this is to build a good relationship between you and us." Overjoyed, young Jinwoo replied quickly, "I understand completely." After speaking, she stepped back, preparing to leave. "Well then, you must be busy, so I'll be on my way." Jinwoo stood still, watching Yuzia's back as she walked away. He smiled, thinking to himself, "I can really feel that examiner's goodwill and his desire to support me all the way. I need to summon an X rank quickly to repay him." The sky slowly turned from afternoon to evening. Ramba, exhausted, collapsed limply onto the pile of papers on the floor. "Jinwoo, how much longer are we going to do this? If I keep praying like this, my hands are going to catch on fire," he replied blankly. until we pull one. A trainer and a dragonmancer. Trainer equals instructor. Dragonmancer equals dragon mage. Ramba wailed, pulling at her hair and screaming. I think I'm going to go crazy from the sound of this tearing paper. Suddenly a sound echoed from the system. You have obtained an F-rank white snake. I have no other choice. Another notification appeared. You have obtained an F-rank giant beetle. In for a penny, in for a pound, I'm going to open them all. You have obtained an F-rank horned caterpillar. Please just show up. Either the trainer or the dragonmancer will do. As Jinwoo's hand tore the paper in two, a blinding light immediately appeared. Please! A loud thunderclap echoed as the paper was torn into 4 pieces and flew high into the air. What the heck is that? Jinwoo immediately remembered the scene from before. This effect is exactly the same as when Ramba appeared. She standing beside him also watched with wide eyes. Could it be? Using low-grade summoning scroll. A notification appeared from the system. Player Baek Jinwoo has obtained the S-rank summon dragonmancer. Ramba excitedly hugged him tightly. You did it! You did it! Jinwoo was so happy he started crying. Oh my god, I can die happy now. Jinwoo immediately regained his composure. Wait, this is no time to rest. No time. I can't stop now. I have to ride this gotcha luck. Hearing this, she stood beside him stunned. Gotcha luck. He reached up and took out another scroll. This is the moment it explodes. Jinwoo fiercely tore it open. When you're on a lucky streak, you have to press your advantage and get more. Using low-grade summoning scroll, player Baek Jinwoo has obtained the S-rank summon trainer. Ramba looked at the system window in disbelief. Gotcha luck is real. Overjoyed, he bit his lip. Finally, Jinwoo looked at the people in front of him and thought to himself, finally, those two are standing right here looking at me. I've summoned them. Hunjio raised his head, looked around, and asked, where is this? A system window immediately appeared. S-rank summon trainer has been summoned. Originally, this was a rather unpopular summon, because it was only an E rank with poor combat abilities. Jinwoo excitedly clenched his fists. But his true value lies in being a training fanatic. A certified maniac who knows nothing but training. You think training is a joke? Current skill, massive growth through training. Mesmerize. Overwhelm other summons. Hunjio himself is very weak and his basic skills are nothing special either. Give me 5,000 push-ups, I don't know what it means to be tired. But once he acquires the trainer skill through the growth process, trainer unlocks the hidden potential of other summons and dramatically increases their growth rate. In his imagination, Ramba suddenly became terrifying. Ramba, with this skill, I can make the other summons stronger. This is how I'll always stay ahead of the other rankers. She immediately showed her dislike. I really don't want to get any stronger, Jinwoo. Jinwoo smiled, turned, and waved. Hey, Hunjio, long time no see. Hearing him say that, he immediately grimaced. Hunjio, that nickname? Hunjio immediately recognized Jinwoo. Could it be? Are you Sir Jinwoo Goes? He put his hands on his hips, puffed out his chest, and replied, that's right. He hurriedly knelt on one knee respectfully. Sir, this is astonishing. After being put into an isolated state for unknown reasons, I thought I would never see you again. Jinwoo just listened silently, thinking, it's just as I thought. Both Ramba and Hunjio developed exactly as I raised them. Hunjio lowered his head, his voice loud and clear. It's an honor to see you again, sir. Pop Rio also slowly took a step forward. Sir Jinwoo, God? She asked a bit shyly. Is it really you? Jinwoo, God. He was a bit surprised and thought to himself, this is the first time I've ever heard Pop Rio's voice. 1 million, summoner. D-rank mage type, dragon mage summon. Race human, S-rank, isolated. She's a magic dropout, but it turns out a great blast dragon lies dormant in her heart. This transforms her into a powerful fire element damage dealer. Her skills were initially very mediocre, but what would happen if Hunjio awakened it? Possessed skill. Blast Dragon Wave. Unleashes dragon-shaped flames forward. Predation. Permanently increases the damage of Blast Dragon Wave each time a final boss-level enemy is defeated. With this skill, she received an overpowered skill called Predation, because without Hunjio, that Predation skill cannot be unlocked. I'm the only player who can use Pop Ryan skillfully. Pop Rio was extremely excited to see Jinwoo. Sir Jinwoo, God, I've truly missed you so much. He felt a bit smug, the corner of his lip curling up slightly. Ahem, me too. a dangerously adorable arch-dragon. Jinwoo composed himself and gave an order. For now, don't say anything when others are around, and instead of Jinwoo God, just call me Jinwoo. The two of them heard and obeyed. Understood, sir. Yes, Sir Jinwoo. He put his hands in his pockets and looked up at the sky. All right now then. The night sky is full of stars. The lights are all out too. Only the light from the street lamps and the moon remains. Let's go home and get some sleep. Inside the quiet room, the curtains were half drawn. Jinwoo was sprawled on the bed, completely drained. The three spirits sat huddled together below. Hunjio started the conversation. It's been a while, hasn't it? Poprio hurriedly replied, It really has. He glanced down at Ramba. And you, I should call you Ramba, right? Her eyes sparkling, she looked up at Hunjio. You're Hunjio, right? We only met about a month before we were separated, didn't we? Because I was already an active summon when you were recruited. So that makes me your senior. He crossed his arms, looking unconcerned. Let's just say that. Suddenly, his fierce expression darkened noticeably. However, that doesn't mean anything to me. I only have one thing to say. With a grim face, he leaned down towards the two girls. We are too weak. We still have a long way to go if we want to be useful to our Lord in the future. That's why even while he is sleeping, we must continue to train. Hunjio pointed at her. First, Pop Rio, sit down and focus on sensing your manadi. After I awaken, I will unlock predation for you. Pop Rio nodded slightly, looking at him. Predation, I understand. Hunjio quickly shot a sharp glance at Ramba. And you, Ramba. Seeing this, she trembled, her face filled with fear. You need to increase your sword-swinging speed. So from now on, you will do physical training with me. Physical training? Ramba cried, disagreeing. But I'm a spirit. A glint appeared in Hunjio's eyes. Don't you want to be of use to our master? Ramba stammered in reply. I do. His gaze immediately landed on the frying pan in the kitchen. Then start swinging that pan. Since today is the first day, we'll just do a light workout. 5,000 times. Hearing this, Ramba was utterly horrified. 5,000. Ramba's trembling hand tried to reach for Jinwoo. Before she could ask for help, Hunjio grabbed her and carried her off like an object. Please save me. Early morning. A gentle breeze blew through the city. Inside a room, a voice rang out. What? You can't give me any more low-grade summon scrolls, Gia. With one hand on her hip and the other raised, she replied, That's right. The office just issued a notice. It's an order from the head office director. CEO Zhang was now a bit worried, thinking, from the director he should be very busy. Why is he suddenly paying attention to trivial matters like this? She continued speaking, causing his expression to worsen. Furthermore, they're demanding a detailed report on the use of all low-grade summon scrolls received to date. CEO Zhang gritted his teeth and cursed, Damn it! Gia raised a hand to her chin. It seems Judge Imhisu has a hand in this. His mind in turmoil, he asked, That bastard. He's always finding ways to oppose my opinions. She crossed her arms and sighed. What do we do now? I've already prepared the report documents. But if the Management Bureau cuts off our scroll supply, we'll have nothing to give to Baek Jinwoo. CEO Zhang clenched his fist and began to ponder. It's almost time to deliver the next batch. Suddenly, he remembered something. His eyes widened. CEO Zhang glanced at the ringing phone on his desk. Seeing this, Gia came closer and asked, What is it? He spoke in a stern voice. It seems we won't need to provide him with any more low-grade summon scrolls. CEO Zhang frowned and stared at her. More importantly, he didn't say any more, just thought to himself, I need to settle the score with that bastard Imhisu. A few messages popped up on the phone. I don't need any more low-grade summon scrolls. I've already gotten what I wanted. Thanks. Jinwoo set foot on the ground and let out a sigh of relief. He raised a hand to shield his eyes from the sun's glare. So, this is a regular dungeon. In POS, there are 4 types of dungeons. The Tower of Trials, Daily Dungeons, Regular Dungeons, and the Chaos Dragon. First are the Daily Dungeons, where players can gather specific materials each day. Second is the Tower of Trials. Its difficulty is hellish compared to regular dungeons. This is where players test their limits. The rewards are extremely generous, but the death rate is correspondingly high. Third is the Chaos Dragon. That's a raid boss you have to form a party to challenge, but since it hasn't been updated yet, I'll save that explanation for later. Aside from those 3 types, everywhere else is considered a regular dungeon. And that's where I'm headed this time. Jinwoo walked while looking at his phone in POS. They're also called tiered dungeons, but in reality they just appear randomly. You can play in a party. T557162, LFP need 1 healer. 15562, 55236 LFP looking for carry. 554167 LFP for daily dungeon speedrun. 552341 LFP looking for fire. DPS 552232. LFP, anyone have a party for the daily dungeon yet? 552,207 LFP for regular dungeon. 547,652 LFP for speedrun party. But I don't really need a party anyway. He stopped in front of a large mountain. In front of Jinwoo was a gate with a warning sign. He bowed his head, observing it for a moment. After a dungeon is created and a certain amount of time passes, a dungeon break will occur and the monsters will spill out. I need to take care of this quickly. As Jinwoo approached, a gatekeeper spoke up. If you're planning on entering the dungeon, I need to check your license. He took out his ID card and handed it to the man. Here. The other man took it and gave it a quick look. All right, you're confirmed. Jinwoo said nothing more and stepped into the gate. Please be careful. A flash of light. Jinwoo slowly opened his eyes. Fierce sparks of electricity appeared around him. The sound of clashing metal echoed clearly in the silent space. Scores of people were charging in and attacking each other. The scene was both gloomy and chaotic. A conquest dungeon, huh? The soldiers started shouting. The orcs are advancing, pour boiling oil on them! The giant orcs kept climbing, making the men panic. Die. They quickly shot an arrow through its head, causing it to fall. Back in POS, it was just a game, so it never felt real. But seeing this, a giant orc charged forward in retaliation. Another soldier rushed over to help his fallen comrade. Healer! We need a healer over here. Jinwoo's face darkened as he witnessed the scene. Is this what real war looks like? He closed his eyes, reassuring himself. I just need to stay calm. I just need to do what I always do. A shield quickly enveloped Jinwoo. He shouted and the other three appeared simultaneously. Everyone get ready! A system window appeared. S-Rank Wind Spirit has been summoned. S-Rank Tamer has been summoned. S-Rank Dragon Mage has been summoned. Then two more windows appeared. D-Rank Glimmer Spirit has been summoned. D-Rank Mini Kong has been summoned. Among the D-Rank tanks and healers, there's no one better than these two. Sorry, Fluffy was sacrificed for Mini Kong. Jinwoo looked over at her and gave an order. Ramba buff Hungyo's attack speed. She smiled brightly and accepted the order. Got it. He then looked at the other girl and called out, and Paprio prepare fire support for Hungyo from the rear. She gripped her magic staff tightly and replied, Yes, Master Jinwoo. Jinwoo swung his arm forward. Mini Kong goes straight for the orc chief. It immediately leaped high into the air, preparing to attack. The rule of the orc conquest dungeon is simple. A loud explosion rang out as the ground around them shattered. Mini Kong was now facing the giant orcs. Just take down the giant orc at the very back and this will all be over. Seeing an attacker, it raised its weapon high and roared. The orc brought its weapon down hard, but Mini Kong raised its hands to block. From the sidelines, Ramba continuously buffed its strength. Get stronger! Hunjio watched silently. Suddenly, a huge explosion occurred on the castle wall. His eyes flashed. With just a few sword strikes, he took down a considerable number of orcs. Jinwoo watched from above, utterly amazed. Is it because they're S-rank? He's on a completely different level compared to the Hungyo from the early game. He rubbed his chin and smiled. Anyway, this seems easier than I thought. The soldiers saw they had support and were overjoyed. Allies are here. They're so strong we're going to survive, right? Mini Kong growled and charged at the giant orcs. The Glimmer Spirit continuously healed them. Plus HP, plus HP, plus HP. Ramba, while dodging things the orcs threw, taunted them. Nah, boo-boo, are you mad? Jinwoo almost took the full hit and was terrified. Ramba, stop messing around. Hearing his voice, she jumped and turned around. Sorry. Hungyo rushed in from out of nowhere and punched it hard. How dare you throw an axe at my Master Dai! Paprio then raised her magic staff and chanted a spell in an incomprehensible language. She created a large source of fire and controlled it. Let's go! A dragon rushed out from her staff. Fire Dragon's explosion! She launched dragon-shaped flames forward. The orcs screamed as the fire burned them. Even so, one of them, despite being badly burned, still tried to stand firm. The sound of clanking armor echoed in a hurried rhythm. Hungyo didn't hesitate and dealt it a critical blow. The giant orc's head fell to the ground like a ball. A mechanical sound rang out, Dungeon conquered. Ramba excitedly threw her hands in the air. Absolutely amazing! Paprio had also leveled up. S-Rank Dragon Mage's level has increased by 5. S-Rank Dragon Mage's intelligence stat, Shai, has increased by 2. He wasn't left behind leveling up with her. S-Rank Tamer's level has increased by 5. S-Rank Tamer's critical hit rate, has increased by 1%. As for Jinwoo, he received a reward from the system. Your reward has arrived. Intermediate grade summon scroll ×1. He couldn't help but stare in amazement. Awesome! A single common grade summon scroll goes for up to 500,000 won, and I earned 500,000 won in just 3 minutes. While the spirits were cheering joyfully, Jinwoo was already thinking about something else. I need to find the next instance dungeon right away. Congratulations on leveling up. He clenched his hand into a fist. I can level up my summoned beasts and earn money at the same time? For Jinwoo, it was as if a whole new world had just opened up. It's time to change my life by grinding non-stop. The scene changes. In front of a large, luxurious building, Jang-seok slumps over a table, his head down. Jia stands beside him with her arms crossed and asks, "Exactly where did you get the confidence to make a bet like that?" He replied sullenly, "But that bastard started it first." The director, sitting between them, rubbed his hands together and spoke up. Now, gentlemen, please calm down." Hisu smirked and said bluntly, "It seems Examiner Jang is wasting the budget, so I was simply offering a bit of advice. What kind of talent management team can't even produce a single proper talent? Not one of the talents trained by Examiner Jang has ever been chosen as a national representative. Right. Aren't you acting this way just because the third Key 6 instance dungeon was recently established? Isn't that the only reason? No matter how furious Jang-seok was, he could only think to himself, that bastard Im Hisu, I want to refute him. But the rankers that Im Hisu trains are all chosen as national representatives every year. He might be an arrogant, hateful bastard, but he really does have the skills to back it up. Still, I'm not going to just sit here and take this anymore." He thought carefully, then asked, "What will you do if the talent I'm training is chosen as a national representative?" Hisu looked up, his voice dripping with scorn. "So you want to make a bet on that? There can only be a maximum of 10 players on the national team, you know." "Humph. Let's see whose talent climbs to a higher rank." His expression changed as he replied, "Fine." Hisu leaned in with a wicked grin and said, "The loser has to publicly acknowledge that the other examiner is superior and then resign from their position. The penalty for breaking the agreement is 1 billion won." Jang-seok didn't back down, retorting immediately, "Then let's draw up a contract right now, shall we?" The director sitting between them tried to intervene nervously. "Please don't argue anymore." Jia put her hands on her hips and chided him, "Are you serious? You're really going to do this just because you trust that Baek Jinwoo guy? He might be impressive, I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, he's just a gamer. Compared to the current rankers, he's still leagues behind." He lowered his head slightly, his eyes closed. I know. Suddenly, Jang-seok's fingers stopped moving. "But I believe in Baek Jinwoo. If we support him the right way, I'm sure he'll provide us with crucial information." She heard this and was about to say more, but was interrupted. "Even if you say that, Examiner..." He noticed something was off and stood up from his chair. "What is it?" A panting Mr. Jin rushed in. "A report, sir. You told me to investigate the player who recently cleared 10 D-rank instance dungeons by himself. It was Baek Jinwoo." He and Jia could hardly believe their ears, shouting, "What?" She asked the man again, bewildered. "A player who registered less than a month ago cleared a D-rank dungeon in under 5 minutes. Jang-seok let out an almost maniacal laugh. "See? I told you so." He was so excited he threw both his hands in the air. "What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you Baek Jinwoo was the real deal? That slang is so outdated." Though ecstatic, Jang-seok was still a bit overwhelmed, thinking, "That's right. I always believed in you, Baek Jinwoo. I knew it." Meanwhile, Jinwoo stepped out of the dungeon gate. Looking around, he thought to himself, "My instincts are spot on." Back inside his small room, a single light shone down from the ceiling. Jinwoo stared at his account balance, his excitement growing. He grinned so widely his cheeks flushed. 16 million won. I actually earned 16 million won. Images from the past flashed through Jinwoo's mind, grinding like a madman for 4 straight days. 160 D-rank dungeons. All of his summons fighting alongside him. He looked at the money and couldn't help but cry with joy. And this is the money I got from selling all the intermediate grade summon scrolls. This is truly the result of my own blood, sweat, and tears. Weren't we the ones who were sweating? Finally, my time has come. Jinwoo shot up in bed, already calculating. All right. First, I need to split this money into different accounts. This account is for living expenses, rent. utilities, food, and other miscellaneous costs. I'll also set up a family account so I can spend more freely in the future. And this is the savings account, saving 10 million won every month for myself. He stared pensively at his phone. Earning 10 million in won a month. It feels like I'm dreaming. Jinwoo looked at the balance on his phone and finally he decided to use it to top up his game account. This account was exclusively for players and all the money in it would be used to invest in his summons. It's all for the summons anyway. Money is just one part of it. The most important thing right now is to increase my own value as a player. While I've been grinding dungeons, the kids have all surpassed level 30, so it's about time I equipped and upgraded runes for them. And to do that, the only way is to grind the daily dungeons. Jinwoo thought for a moment, then said to himself, but to clear the daily dungeons quickly, I need some core summons. He took out his phone and opened the app. I wonder if there are any good ones on the market. In for sale! Player web! Jinwoo was so shocked his jaw dropped. He yelled out when he saw the price list what the average price for a C rank is 20 million. Why is it so ridiculously expensive? A Thunderbolt Cerberus is 20 million B ranks go for up to 200 million. And as for A ranks and S ranks, you can search all you want, but you won't find anyone selling. At this rate, my account will be wiped out in an instant. Jinwoo sighed, hugging his phone. Well, with a premium summon scroll, the chance of getting a B rank is only 1%, so that price is understandable. He immediately composed himself and looked at it again. But it's fine. Jinwoo navigated the app and opened someone's profile. He pressed the call button and put the phone to his ear. This is why I prepared a backup plan. CEO Tae suddenly burst through the door yelling, "Appraiser!" CEO Jang, who was sitting inside, calmly asked, "What's with all the commotion?" He replied anxiously, "We've just received a new request from player Baek Jinwoo." Hearing that name made the CEO jump. What? CEO Jang's demeanor changed as he walked over and grabbed Tae's arm. "What did he ask for? Spit it out, you scared me. And what's with all this hair?" He found the CEO's comment strange but had no choice but to continue. He said that if we agree, he'll provide new information. CEO Tae held the phone out in front of CEO Jang. "Here, this is it. A shopping list for summons." After looking at it, the CEO's eyes looked like they were about to pop out. "He wants to buy all of this." Seeing his reaction, the other man could only explain. "He wants us to pay for all of this." CEO Jang put a hand to his head, worried. "If headquarters was willing to shell out the money for all this, we wouldn't be using C-rank summons in the first place. Did he say what we would get in return if we buy them?" CEO Tae's next words eased his worries. He promised to share his secret to conquering the daily dungeons in the shortest time possible. CEO Jang looked up at him. "Not just the second or fourth dungeon, but all the dungeons for the entire week." CEO Tae quickly replied, "Yes, that's right." The CEO put both hands on his hips, contemplating. "He means he'll reveal everything, not just one trick. That's a tough bargain." CEO Jang smiled so widely it showed all his teeth. "All right then, I understand the situation. Let me try talking to the director directly." A moment later, he slammed his hand on the table in frustration. "Damn it! Those old-fashioned fossils are a bunch of senile fools." CEO Jang angrily stood right up on his desk. "No wonder our country is always ranked." "I'll last," Mr. Jin asked, confused. "What's wrong with him?" Jia, however, understood perfectly and found the scene quite normal. The proposal wasn't approved. To be fair, the request was a bit much. She crossed her arms and sighed, watching him yell to vent his frustration. If only every appraiser were as passionate as him. He walked over and asked, "So what did the director say to you, sir?" CEO Jang's face was red with anger as he replied, "That old man said I have to provide proof or have the kid demonstrate his skills first before he'll even consider spending the money." Hearing this made Jia ponder as well. Without support from summons, how can he possibly clear the stages? CEO Jang clenched his fists and shouted fiercely, "If that information is real, wouldn't it be a massive breakthrough? It's practically an open-pit gold mine. And yet those idiots at headquarters can't even see its value." A woman's voice suddenly cut in, calming him down. "That does sound disappointing. Selling such valuable information to headquarters for only 1.3 billion won. Don't you think that price is way too cheap?" CEO Jang stammered in confusion. "Oh, only 1.3 billion. Jia put a hand to her chin and slowly called out, "Appraiser Jang?" She smiled and made an offer. "How about I pay for this deal out of my own pocket?" CEO Jang stared at her in astonishment. "Now I remember. Jia is from the Daesung Group family. Yoo-jia, the fourth granddaughter of Daesung Korea's leading economic conglomerate. She was raised to be a chaebol heiress, but Jia was more interested in players than in managing the company. And the player who had caught her eye recently, it was none other than Baek Jinwoo, a rookie who possessed an unbelievable amount of information and even had the guts to bargain with the government itself. No, that's not it. How about this? We form a private management team just for him. We'll invest heavily so he can extract all his information and then we'll split the profits. Our approach will be completely different from the current talent management team. He asked again, "Are you sure that's a lot of money?" Jia wasn't worried in the slightest. With an incredibly cheerful voice, "Oh, are you worried about my account balance?" Trang Se-ok replied with a forced laugh, "Of course not." Jia crossed her arms lightly, tapping her finger on her bicep. "You don't have to worry about the money," she said, but before deciding she smiled and continued with her request. "I need to meet Baek Jinwoo one more time." Jia sat with her chin in her hand, legs crossed as if waiting for someone. Hearing a sound, she glanced over. A store employee bowed respectfully. "Please make yourself comfortable." Jinwoo walked in and then turned to look back at her. Feeling a bit nervous, he rubbed the back of his neck. "I guess the headquarters is really showing their sincerity, huh? I'm responding to your previous request. Shall we meet in person to discuss the details? I'll send you the address and time." I can't believe they're moving this fast over a single piece of info. 1.3 billion isn't an easy amount to make. And now I'm sitting in a luxury restaurant that would put a 5-star hotel to shame. They're treating me so well I don't even know what to do. This was definitely worth selling that information for. A voice cut through Jinwoo's thoughts. "You're here, Jinwoo." He glanced toward the voice and saw her standing up. Yoo-jia. I nearly passed out when I looked up her background. Looks, family background, abilities. A once-in-a-century genius player who passed the screening with an unbelievably high score. Yoo-jia. I can't believe she's a third-generation chaebol heiress, and she's working for the main headquarters of all places. Jia walked up, placing a hand on her chest in a polite greeting. "Thank you for coming." Seeing she was by herself, he asked, "Did you come alone?" Jia smiled brightly and replied, "Yes, I did. What I wanted to discuss with you today isn't related to the headquarters. It's this." The two sat down at the table and began to talk. "So, unfortunately," she said, resting her cheek on her hand, "I'm afraid the headquarters will find it difficult to offer any further support. Examiner Park Chang-suk did his best. But there was just too much opposition. Who does she think she's kidding?" He said while picking up some food, "Well, if that's the headquarters stance, then there's nothing we can do. I'll just have to claim the #1 spot by myself anyway. I'm not giving them any more information." Suddenly, Jia added, making Jinwoo freeze. "Instead, I have a proposition." He stopped mid-motion and looked up at her. "Excuse me." Jia placed a glass of water down in front of Jinwoo. "This is an offer exclusively for you, Jinwoo. I'm planning to establish a private management company." He was taken aback by her words. "A one-person management company." This offer isn't half bad. Unlike the main headquarters, which has to be cautious, a private organization is only driven by profit. And I can absolutely deliver that profit. But more importantly than anything, what I need right now is a connection to someone who will truly appreciate my information and has resources I can leverage. Jia spoke again, interrupting his train of thought. "Yoo-jia, along with the expertise of Daesung, and I'm ready to provide everything that you, Baek Jinwoo, require." Jinwoo couldn't hide his excitement as he thought, where could I possibly find a better offer than Daesung? In the end, money never lies. He happily drank the water before speaking. "We've only met a few times, but you seem to be a truly incredible person." Jia also beamed, praising Jinwoo in return. "With a talent like yours, Jinwoo, it's a given. Then I'll explain the details along with the contract. If you agree, I will visit that empty plot of land tomorrow. By the way, you should check on the summon that you requested." He was a bit surprised at how rushed everything felt. "Already? But I haven't even signed the contract." She suddenly lowered her head, her voice dropping slightly. "I prepared everything beforehand regardless of what your decision might be. Please consider it a gift." Jinwoo's eyes sparkled as he looked at Jia. "This is crazy. All hail the chaebol." The scene changes to the side of a mountain. Ah-jin whined as she walked. "Oppa, he came here again today, didn't he?" She looked extremely glum. "What's he been so busy with lately that he hasn't been in touch? I heard he even moved into his own place." Suddenly, someone walked past, causing Ah-jin to look up. It was her. Seeing Jia, she couldn't help but admire her silently. "Wow, she's gorgeous, huh?" "Wait a second." I feel like I've seen her face on Instagram before. Ah Jin put a hand to her chin, racking her brain. She instantly recalled the post that she had seen. Ah Jin was so excited her jaw dropped. Isn't that Yujia? Amidst the blinding sun, the sound of heavy panting filled the air. Hungyo, full of fighting spirit, yelled, More, you have to push yourself to the limit if you want to improve. Ramba, sweating profusely and looking gaunt, replied, I've already hit my limit. He seemed to notice something. His eyes glanced around. Hungyo took off his glasses and whispered to the two of them. Quiet, everyone. Someone's coming. Not a word. Ramba quickly lay down on top of Jinwoo's head. Just rest for a bit. He turned around and saw Jia walking toward them. You're here! She was fanning herself with her hand. Yes, hello. It looks like you've been training since early this morning, huh? Ramba quickly perked up and flew into the air. That's right, just a light training session. With your summons, I see. So this is how you've structured your team. There are a few summons here I've never seen before. Jinwoo waved his hand, motioning for them to move away. That's right. They're my main fighting force. Go on, get back to training. I'll give you a formal introduction later. Jia raised her hand, taking something out. Very well. First, I'll give you a gift. A system window suddenly appeared in front of him with large text, Player Yugia is proposing a trade. Please carefully consider the other party's offer. Just like in the game Battle of Summoners, it supports trading between players. Quick sell summons. Bulk discounts. I want to trade an A-rank Sky Silver for another A-rank. Selling 2 501 items for 2001 reward reset, scroll DM for price. I have an A-rank King Kong. Go away. Accepting trade for a D-rank and F-rank King Kong. If you dare to scam someone and run away. He points towards a scammer. Like that guy did, you can die from a curse issued by the system window. An offer appeared, making Jinwoo wonder. The trade list read Yugia to Baek Jinwoo. Did she really take all of them? Do you accept the trade with player Yugia? His body was suddenly enveloped in a soft blue light. Trade complete. Jinwoo was incredibly grateful, bowing repeatedly. Thank you so much. That was an extremely valuable gift. Jia smiled brightly with her arms crossed and replied, It's nothing. She opened her bag and rummaged around inside. Then Jia held a piece of paper in front of him and asked, Shall we get down to business? She quickly explained, The management company's name is Baek. I took it from our surnames. 70% of the shares will go to Baek Jinwoo, 25% to me, and 5% will go to Judge Park Chang-sok. The judge will stay at the headquarters and continue to support us. We also plan to hire Baeong-jin and T-sok as employees. But aren't those two at the headquarters? They submitted their resignations this morning because I offered them triple their old salary. Jinwoo held the paper, hesitating. I'm really grateful, but 70% for me. Are you sure about this? Jia calmly told him, just consider it my wager. Even with only 25%, I'm confident I can maximize its value. Her gaze immediately sharpened. Besides, since this company revolves around one person, voting rights don't matter. What's important is my relationship with Baek Jinwoo. She glanced at him, preparing to use his thumbprint, thinking to herself, Now's the time to set greed aside and solidify our relationship. Jinwoo took out an ink pad. He pressed his thumb onto the pad to get some ink and stamped the paper. Seeing this, Jia was overjoyed. Contract complete. The two happily shook hands. Well, I look forward to working with you, CEO Yu. Me too. Meanwhile, Hyung-gyo happened to see something. He stared intently at one spot, and then whoosh, Hyung-gyo leaped in, leaving Jia confused. What was that? A loud scream echoed from the bushes. He dragged someone out by their feet. Hyung-gyo held Ah-jin upside down and shook her repeatedly. Auto hunt. Seeing her there, Jinwoo immediately asked, Baek-jin, what are you doing here? Jinwoo frowned slightly. What's the meaning of this? Ah-jin, looking disheveled, didn't answer and just averted her eyes. He immediately figured it out. Did you follow Yugia because you're a fan? Hearing that, she immediately shot back. Follow her? What are you talking about? I was just curious, so I came along. And now Yugia's gone. Jinwoo's chiding voice struck a nerve with Ah-jin. That's exactly what following someone is. He sighed, softly leaned down and asked again. And when you got here, you were hiding and watching us. Unable to take it, she yelled in frustration, All right, fine. So what if I was wrong? Ah-jin angrily charged forward, confronting him. But what about you? How in the world do you know Yugia? Her eyes wide, she kept pressing him. You used some kind of trick, didn't you? How could the two of you possibly be together? Jinwoo rolled his eyes, speechless. What a headache. He mused with a sigh. The contract has a clause about family, so they were bound to meet sooner or later anyway. He recalled what Jia had promised. I was planning on greeting your family anyway, so this is quite convenient. When Jin heard this, she was utterly stunned, muttering, Yugia wants to meet me. Jinwoo was speechless, silently adding in his head, but not right now. A second later, she suddenly threw herself on the ground to throw a tantrum.
Tell me, now,
she whined. Unable to take it anymore, he let out a sigh. Jinwoo paused for a moment, then began to speak. Here's what happened, and after listening to the whole story, Jin summarized it. So let me get this straight. You used to be a pretty famous gamer, and you're the one who just broke the record in the low-level dungeon, she asked doubtfully. And that's how you met Gia. At the headquarters? He gave a tired nod. That's right. Jin fell into deep thought after hearing his answer. Her next question made Jinwoo jump. I remember, you used to play some mobile game for a super long time. Was it that one? He rushed to deny it. No, that was a different game. I only played Battle of Summoners for about a year. He couldn't help but think to himself, I can't reveal that I'm Saint Jinwoo yet. Jin exclaimed with excitement. Even if it was only a year for a trash game like that. That's still a really long time. Every word was like a needle piercing Jinwoo's heart. Still faced with Jin's teasing, all he could do was give a helpless laugh. Who would have thought your gaming addiction would actually be useful for once? Looking at the innocent face before him, a thought surfaced in Jinwoo's mind. It's not that I don't trust you. The idea quietly formed. But anything can happen. The risks. The painful memories from that year flooded back, making Jinwoo harden his resolve. The family who took care of me for the last 3 years, I can't let them be put in danger, model. His eyes grew determined. I have to get stronger to protect my family. I'll think about revealing my identity after that. Just then she suddenly mumbled a few words. But why did you wait until now to tell me? Jinwoo scratched his head, replying casually. Well, I was going to tell you eventually. Besides, it's not like there's anything to hide. I'll explain it to Mom and Dad later, so please keep it a secret for a while, okay? Jin questioned him, slightly miffed. What, you have your reasons? Fine, I get it. Meanwhile, they could only stand there screaming silently. Hungyo glanced coldly at the dark elf, while Poprio was now pinning Ramba down. As he was pouncing on it, Jinwoo suddenly spoke up. Oh, one more thing and about that dark elf over there. Hearing this, she flinched. Why does she have an expression like that? His voice suddenly dropped. If you're planning on keeping it, then you should find a dark wolf to pair it with. Without one, you won't even be able to use 10% of its power. Jin, tapping on her device, repeated with confusion. A dark wolf. There's a summon like that. Jinwoo clicked his tongue and added, It's understandable that you don't know. It's a B rank. Hearing that, she felt a bit helpless. How am I supposed to find a B rank one now? Saying this, Jin lowered her head and started searching on her device. After a moment, she suddenly let out a gloomy cry. Oppa! Hearing her cry out, her brother asked skeptically, What's wrong? With a stiff expression, Jin demanded, You want me to buy this? It's 500 million won. I'd have to save every penny for 25 years to get that much. Seeing the price tag for the gray wolf, Jinwoo chuckled and reassured her, Just calm down. Without hesitation, he made a promise, I'll get it for you. It'll only take a month. But her only response was a skeptical laugh. That's 500 million won, you know. Jin gave a wry smile, half believing and half doubting, and teased. Ever since you became a gamer, you've picked up a habit of showing off, haven't you? Just forget it. I'll save up the money myself and buy it later. Under the warm sunlight, a gentle smile graced Jinwoo's lips as he kindly reminded her, Just try not to cry from being too touched when you get it. All right. With that, Jinwoo turned and walked away. Training's done. Time to head back. He left her staring after him, suspicious. Something feels off. Jin hugged the dark elf, who was exhausted and utterly terrified, and frowned thoughtfully. It's like my brother has turned into a completely different person. The sky was a deep blue and the sun was shining brightly. A week later, Gia and he were watching people unload equipment. Jinwoo asked a little skeptically, What is all this? She smiled brightly and explained, This is the gear you'll have to wear for every daily dungeon run. Gia continued cheerfully, It's the very first product from our company UBAC. Information to be exact. As he put on the gear, he asked, Information. She couldn't help but boast, We're going to sell video clips of your dungeon clears for a hefty price. Then Gia glanced at the gear and said, And this state-of-the-art equipment set is essential for doing just that. There's a small camera attached to the breast pocket. When you wear it, everything around you will be recorded in 3D. She added with a soft laugh, It's very light and flexible. so you won't find it uncomfortable at all. A second later, TC put on his glasses, his fingers sliding into a pair of gloves. His movements were frighteningly calm. In the blink of an eye, a full crew had appeared. "Ready to record!" Jinwoo's eyes widened as he watched. This is more pressure than fighting monsters, he thought. He nodded awkwardly and asked hesitantly, "Since this is my first time entering the second dungeon, I'm not sure if everything will go smoothly. Will that be a problem?" Gia smiled gently to reassure him. "It's okay. We're only going to use the best highlight clips for the edit anyway." Hearing her answer, he paused and replied softly, "Thank you." Before stepping through the gate, Jinwoo suddenly turned back and added, "By the way, can I ask if I break the national record as soon as I enter? Would that be all right?" Hearing his question, she was so surprised she blurted out, yes, of course." She couldn't help but wonder. Didn't he just say he was worried it wouldn't go smoothly? He must be joking, right? Or maybe the 1.3 billion is getting to him. Despite her thoughts, Gia quickly comforted him. "Just relax. I don't mind at all. Just play comfortably like back in your gamer days." He gave a small smile and quickly agreed, "Yes, I understand." As soon as he finished speaking, Jinwoo decisively stepped into the portal. Thoughts raced through his mind. The national record for the second dungeon is 7 minutes. On the other side of the gate, a dark space was waiting for him. A confident smile spread across Jinwoo's face as he silently mused. At this rate, breaking it will be a piece of cake. A bleak and chilling landscape unfolded before his eyes. In the second dungeon, this is the only place where various attack power-increasing runes drop. The completion time directly determines a player's rank. Just like in most games, attack runes are always the most crucial element. In the chat groups, people are constantly trying to trade, selling all kinds of defense, recovery, evasion, and health increase runes. In response, a flood of mocking comments. "You're trying to sell this trash for money. Who would even buy this crap? Because without them, you can barely accomplish anything. It truly lives up to its reputation as a trash game. This is a defense-type dungeon. Normally, you'd have to hold your ground against the Legion of Andes for 30 minutes. However, the clear time is still critically important. They just call it a defense mission to make it sound cool. In reality, it's all over as soon as the Lich boss is defeated. Because of this, rushing straight to take down the boss has become the most common strategy." Jinwoo lightly touched the camera on his chest and remarked, "Looks like the gear is working pretty well." As soon as he finished his sentence, a virtual screen appeared before him. The screen displayed a line of text. "You have set up a total of 3 squads. Which squad would you like to summon? Team A, Team B, Team C. Each player can create up to 3 different lineups." Jinwoo didn't hesitate to make his choice. "I've already divided the teams for the regular map runs, for PvP and daily dungeon runs." Seconds later, a series of system screens appeared along with the summoned beings. S-Rank Training Instructor summoned. C-Rank Battle Police Chief summoned. D-Rank Minikong summoned. To his right, 2 more figures appeared. C-Rank Priest of Light summoned. D-Rank Golden Fairy summoned. After the entire party had appeared, the system screen popped up again. "The Lich's Andes Legion is approaching. Hold out until reinforcements arrive." A light blue notification box appeared displaying the words clearly. Time remaining 30 minutes. The time officially began to count down. 29 minutes, 59 seconds. On the other side, the Lich was waving its hand, commanding the Andes Legion to charge forward. Facing the relentless assault, Minikong beat its chest and roared. It grabbed a skull its strength enough to crush it in an instant. Minikong gathered all its strength and slammed it into the ground. Looking at the skeleton on the ground, he said excitedly, "Well now." Jinwoo waved his hand confidently and gave the order. "Let's move out." From high up in the air, the gloomy Lich was observing everything. In the distance, the Andes Legion was charging madly while Jinwoo was speaking. Hungjio's attention, however, was drawn to the first hidden camera. He didn't say anything, just nodded slightly in agreement with him. Just take this high ground. Seeing this, Jinwoo could only click his tongue and silently assess. This Hungjio guy is really sharp. The moment he saw we were being filmed, he clammed up. Right now, the system screen was displaying, "Time remaining is 27 minutes 59 seconds. He glanced at it while thoughtfully calculating. It took exactly 2 minutes to get here. Jinwoo's gaze suddenly froze when he saw Radiance being closed in on by monsters from all sides. As for the monsters chasing after Hungjio, he had already charged forward without hesitation, swinging his sword to eliminate them. On the other side, Minikong was also mustering its strength to rip a skull's head off. It let out a fierce roar, swinging its arm back to prepare a throw. Minikong hurled the skull with great force toward the approaching monsters. Watching the scene, he couldn't help but tremble. Minikong and Hungjio are handling things just fine. I'm so glad they're my summons. Jinwoo quickly shook the thought away and observed the lich in the distance. Next he stopped, smiled faintly, and ordered police chief. Get ready. A sense of pride swelled up inside him. This battle police chief has long range and is extremely accurate. HP -1, HP -2. But because its damage was so pathetic, no one bothered to use it before. Some players who saw this were dumbfounded, questioning, "You can be AFK for 32 hours and still not finish off the target." But thinking of the next scene, Jinwoo cheerfully calculated. However, it's the boss of the second low-level dungeon, because that lich there doesn't have much health. A second later, he suddenly raised his hand to stop making the police chief hesitate. Wait, don't shoot yet. Jinwoo turned around and commanded, Radiance. Grant your blessing. A stream of power suddenly enveloped the gun in its hand. He nodded slightly, silently contemplating. The effect of this blessing is very simple. On the opposite side, above its head was the information screen Darkness Protection Layer. Jinwoo calculated with confidence. It will remove the lich's immunity to ranged attacks. Seeing that everything was under control, he smirked and said, Good. Now on my command. The police chief immediately raised its gun and began to open fire. At the same time, Hungjio was frantically slaughtering the Andes Legion. The moment he saw a monster about to launch a sneak attack, Minikong leaped forward. It slammed down with terrifying force, causing the monster to shatter in an instant. The monsters had completely surrounded them, their sharp spears poised to strike. Minikong froze its movement, stopping mid-air. At the same time, on the other side, Radiance was still continuously casting blessings. The two of them relentlessly buffed the police chief. It did not disappoint, continuously firing with a deadpan expression. Hearing the gunshots, Jinwoo's face paled helplessly. With that pitiful amount of damage, he was simply speechless, as expected. No matter how you look at it, HP -2. Its damage still looks pathetic compared to the others. However, looking at its serious demeanor, Jinwoo couldn't help but think to himself. But at least the opponent's health bar is slowly going down. The bullets are firing, but the damage is practically non-existent. It kept shooting, and finally it started to annoy it. Seeing the lich fuming with rage, he couldn't help but sigh internally. Normally, with this level and such weak runes, this would take forever. The countdown continued to tick down. Time remaining 26 minutes 15 seconds, and Minikong was continuously being buffed. HP+, HP+. Jinwoo sighed softly and remarked, That's why people complain it's slow and just ignore it. Meanwhile, its blessing points were constantly increasing. HP+, HP+, HP+. Seeing this, he paused slightly and thought. But in that instant, a monster suddenly leaped up, startling the two of them. At that moment, the remaining ones quickly rushed forward to ambush Minikong. The monster cackled its bizarre laughter, tearing through the air. Its eyes locked onto Jinwoo, who was wearing an inscrutable smile. While he was lost in thought, a figure suddenly dashed forward. That's only true for normal players. Without a sound of warning, a sword from behind sliced through the monster's head. Jinwoo glanced at Hungjio, who was coldly approaching him, and mused. But as for me, I have Hungjio. He stood there and let him handle the monsters, his mind constantly calculating. I just need to use Hungjio's skill to awaken its hidden potential, then equip it with a proper rune set and skills. Jinwoo's eyes suddenly glanced towards the police chief, silently adding, Then even a high-level lich would be finished with a single shot. In that moment, the lich suddenly froze. Then, to the shock of the Andes army, it suddenly fell backward. In an instant, the system screen popped up with a notification, Dungeon cleared. Completion time 4 minutes 12 seconds. You have just set a new record in Korea. You have obtained a special achievement. He couldn't help but start bragging. This spoon killer tactic is awesome, isn't it? On the outside, TCO exclaimed in disbelief. I can't believe he dared to start his record-breaking journey at the second dungeon. Gia thoughtfully wondered aloud. Isn't it too early for this? She lowered her voice and mumbled, I only gave him those summons a week ago. Oh well, even if he doesn't break the record, we still have to cheer for him. Hearing that, Byung-jin just bowed his head slightly and sighed. Well, that makes sense. Then he suddenly blurted out, But can Baek Jinwoo really break all the records for the daily dungeons? Seeing her confused expression, Byung-jin quickly explained, That's not what I mean. Breaking the third day's record is already amazing. There's no arguing that. But he didn't even bother to explain how he'd clear the other dungeons. He looked towards the ranking board and continued, Korea isn't exactly lacking in players. And with a year of experience. What if he's just all talk? Jia cut him off coldly. Are you worried? That cold voice immediately silenced Bai Youngjin. She paid it no mind, smiling lightly as she continued. After all, I'm using my own money to invest in this. Her next words made the two of them stare wide-eyed in astonishment. Even if what you're afraid of happens, I guarantee that the careers of you two, the ones who trusted me, will not be affected. In their eyes, Jia was now like an angel with wings. And of course, your salaries will remain the same. The two of them moved, hugged each other, and burst into tears. This is truly a dream job. I'll definitely give my all to this place. She shook her head with a helpless smile, thinking to herself, because I have more than enough means to do so. For a brief moment, Jia's gaze turned sharp. Thinking of him, she couldn't help but silently remark, besides Baek Jinwoo, he's definitely holding back a lot. The question Jinwoo asked before entering the gate suddenly came to mind. Would it be okay if I break the national record right after I enter? The more Jia thought about it, the more certain she became of his nonchalant attitude. A suspicious thought suddenly popped into her head. It was as if these dungeons were nothing to him at all. Just then, a shocked shout suddenly rang out. The record was just broken! It was followed by frantic cries. Which record? The second dungeon for new players? It only took 4 minutes and 12 seconds. In front of the screen, everyone couldn't help but wonder. He shaved a whole 3 minutes off the old record. Just what kind of monster did this? It was. Looking at that familiar face, the person exclaimed in shock, It's Baek Jinwoo! The TCEO couldn't hold back either, blurting out, This is insane. On the screen now was the ranking board 1. Baek Jinwoo 2. Kang Jong-ho. Bai Youngjin's eyes widened as he exclaimed in amazement, This is beyond anything I could have imagined. The two of them started chattering excitedly. I can't believe this is happening. He's really incredible. Meanwhile, Jia stood behind them, lost in thought, wondering. He broke the record on his very first try. A rush of excitement made her hands tremble. She already had her answer in her heart. So the plan really was a success. Jia clenched her fists, determination for this business venture burning brightly. She couldn't help but let out a triumphant smile. At the very least, it will be a glorious victory. A fire of determination raged in Jia's eyes, and if all goes smoothly, we'll definitely hit the jackpot. The battle concluded. The sun rose quietly on the horizon, and the exit portal appeared. Jinwoo stood there, his gaze filled with confidence. He turned off the camera, thinking to himself, I still have things to take care of before I log out. Looking at the virtual screen before him, Jinwoo smiled, calculating, starting from now, it'll be a non-stop grind. At that moment, a choice appeared on the screen. Would you like to auto-battle with this team formation? Yes, no. In this game, as long as you clear the daily dungeon, once you can set it to auto-farm, that means, as long as my summons keep repeating the clear, the rewards will just automatically fill up my inventory. With that thought, he chose yes without hesitation. A second later, Hunjio vanished before his eyes replaced by Ramba, the S-rank wind elf summon. Jinwoo smiled lightly and gave an order. Ramba, I'm leaving the grind for the second dungeon to you, she asked doubtfully, not Hunjio. He grinned brightly, asking a question that made Ramba freeze. Hunjio has to train the others. What, you want to join the training session too? Old memories suddenly flooded her mind like a slow-motion film. She collapsed to her knees, groaning in desperation. I'd rather do the grinding. Please, master, let me do the grinding. Seeing her like that, Jinwoo stammered, all right, fine. After assigning the tasks, he immediately calculated his next step. All right, now I just need to clear out the remaining dungeons. I'm going to live in here forever and ever. After that, I'll collect the loot from the auto farm, Jinwoo thought as he set it up while the rest of the summons focus on training. A perfect workflow. But before stepping through the portal, he didn't forget to add, I'm counting on you, Ramba. Lying on top of a mini-orc, Ramba enthusiastically promised, Roger, just leave it to me. On the other side, the portal opened. As Jinwoo gradually stepped out from the light, he immediately froze in disbelief. The first thing he saw was the TCEO respectfully rolling out a red carpet. Welcome back. This was accompanied by the worshipful faces of Jia and Bai Youngjin. I always believed in you. Jinwoo, a bit flustered, handed over the equipment. Ah yes, all the video recordings are in here. He hesitated before asking, Is there anything else you need my help with? She smiled gently and nodded quickly, of course. On the other side, as he took the equipment, he emotionally exclaimed, thank you so much. Jia professionally offered her assurance, we will maintain absolute confidentiality. Don't worry about any news getting out. But Jinwoo's response was indifferent and unconcerned. I don't really care if the new record gets leaked. This made her ask again with suspicion. What did you say? He coolly made a request instead. Just make sure you protect my family. I can't help but worry. The gangs are still rampant all over Korea, but since Ubek is my exclusive manager, they'll probably tighten security. Gia fell silent, her eyes cast downward as if she were calculating something. And finally, she gave a slight nod in agreement. All right. I'll protect them even if I have to use the power of Daesung. Meanwhile, in a dark room somewhere, Komodo opened its mouth wide, ready to swallow its prey whole as it ate heartily. A notification suddenly appeared above Jinwoo's head. Dungeon completed. Time 3 minutes, 10 seconds. He let out a slight smug smile. Since I was recording, I used Komodo to clear it, but with this pack, I could have set a new world record. He looked at the satisfied Komodo lying over there. Jinwoo silently calculated, if I just equip this striped Komodo with a speed rune and max out the Wind Eagle's speed boost, breaking the record would be simple. If I use Hunjio to awaken its potential, it might only take 1 minute. With that thought, he pressed the stop recording button. After everything was settled, Jinwoo immediately turned and stepped into the portal. And that's a wrap for the 3rd day of recording, the 4th dungeon. The 4th dungeon is where you find defense worms. It has a very unique characteristic, which is... He shivered, hugging himself tightly and screaming internally. It's so cold in here, I'm shivering and my movement speed has dropped drastically. It's freezing to death, Jinwoo complained as he reached out to make a selection. At the same time, 2 creatures appeared as the system window popped up, summoning C-Rank Ice Cat and B-Rank Wind Eagle. A second later, another series of notifications appeared, summoning B-Rank Titan Golem and C-Rank Horned Fairy, summoning S-Rank Dragon Mage. As soon as the Ice Cat appeared, it quickly dispelled the cold. He couldn't help but let out a sigh. In a place like this, you definitely need a summon that has a cold resistance skill, and among them the Ice Cat is the #1 choice. Jinwoo gazed into the distance. Let's see. On the other side, a pack of monsters was rushing madly toward them. He wasn't afraid at all and calmly said, Titan Golem, your orders. The Titan Golem excitedly swung its arms. Amplify the Golem's protective armor. Without pausing, Jinwoo immediately turned to call the Wind Eagle, thinking to himself, We'll use the Wind Eagle's speed boost to glide through here quickly. The Wind Eagle gently flew over and landed on its shoulder. The Titan Golem then extended its hand for the 3 of them to get on. Once the group was firmly seated, it sped off. The strong wind whipped his face, making him turn pale. Jinwoo quickly covered his mouth in misery. This is intense, but I'm getting so dizzy. Whoever holds out the longest wins. Meanwhile, the monsters had already launched their attack. The Titan Golem nimbly dodged a barrage of ice orbs. He smiled smugly, thinking, the Titan Golem really is the perfect punching bag. You couldn't ask for better. However, another thought suddenly came to him. But that's not all. He watched for a moment, then it jumped. He saw the Titan Golem easily cling to the high cliff face. He couldn't help but feel impressed. By taking these shortcuts that only the Golem can, I've saved a ton of time. Then Jinwoo suddenly turned and signaled to Paprio, get ready to fight. Paprio didn't respond, merely looking up. Its hand clinging to the cliff suddenly tightened. The Titan Golem launched itself powerfully into the air, followed by a bright red warning screen. Boss. Warning. Warning. The boss has appeared. The moment the monster saw them, it let out a vicious roar. Seeing the tense situation, he quickly called the Horned Fairy, which swiftly flew overhead. It began casting a spell. While observing, Jinwoo commanded, Paprio, strike now! Instantly, a raging fire was summoned. A fire serpent lunged, closing in on the boss in a flash. The roar had barely faded before the monster was engulfed in a sea of flames. The system window quickly popped up. Boss has been defeated. Stage cleared successfully. Time 4 minutes, 22 seconds. He couldn't contain his joy and yelled, Awesome! After the battle, the group took a short rest. Jinwoo hummed happily, another new record set. To the horror of his group, Jinwoo collapsed, crying out, I don't get car sick, I get golem sick. And on the newspaper, the headline was clear, New National Record Set, Low Grade Wednesday, Dungeon, new record of 4 minutes 22 seconds. Who is Baek Jinwoo? From that moment on, everyone who read the article was skeptical. Baek Jinwoo, one young woman wondered doubtfully. This guy, isn't he the one who cleared the 3rd dungeon before? Now the press was focused on a single question. 20 News, who is Baek Jinwoo? In a cafe, the chatter was constant. Who's this Baek Jinwoo guy anyway? You really don't remember? He's the guy who posted on the forums declaring he'd break Kang Junho's record. Oh, right now I remember. Elsewhere, similar questions were being asked. So he set another new record. That's right, he even surpassed Kang Jun-ho. His eyes scanned the screen as he let out a doubtful comment. He doesn't look like a high ranker at all. News articles were being published one after another. Daily dungeon record shattered by Baek Jin-woo, a meteoric newcomer. The third dungeon's record wall officially crumbles before Baek Jin-woo. It's Baek Jin-woo again. As he cleared the fourth dungeon, the whispers started. It was unbelievable, something that had never happened before. All eyes were now on the name Baek Jin-woo. The director, nursing a bit of a headache, muttered, "If it's really Baek Jin-woo." His secretary beside him quickly added, "Then he's the one Judge Park Chang-suk mentioned before." He eagerly elaborated, "The guy who said he'd provide information if we gave him a summon." The director raised an eyebrow, probing, "The one that Judge?" Im Hui-soo vehemently opposed. The secretary immediately confirmed, "Yes, that's him. We refused to pay up back then without getting the information first." The director leaned back wearily. "But it seems everything he said was true." The secretary affirmed with conviction, "It certainly seems that way." The director didn't reply, only letting out a long, thoughtful sigh. Recalling the scene back then, he felt a pang of regret, telling himself, looking back, what Im Hui-soo said did make sense at the time. Even so, he tried to console himself. However, in the world of politics, results are everything. But the more he thought about it, the more regret the director felt. If only I had supported Baek Jin-woo back then. I wouldn't just be praised by the public right now, I'd have raked in a ton of votes. He shook his head sorrowfully, silently cursing, "That old fool Im Hui-soo has really gone senile. Such a poor judge of character. To think he'd throw away a golden opportunity right in front of his eyes." The director then said, "First things first, where's my secretary?" The secretary, while handling his work, replied, "I'm here, director." The director quickly made a decision. "Try to get in touch with Mr. Baek Jin-woo one more time." Hearing this, the secretary was flustered as he confirmed, Sir, we're going to contact him directly ourselves." Determination was clear in the director's eyes. "That's right. At first I thought he was a scammer, but it turns out he's the real deal. We have to get him on our side no matter the cost." The second and fourth dungeons are for farming worms. From the third dungeon, you can get enhancement potions. He strode confidently through the portal. A desolate desert landscape spread out before the two of them. The fifth dungeon will give you skill books. These books won't help you learn a summon's special moves, nor do they have any hidden skills that only a trainer can unlock. But they still drop a lot of decent moves, so it's worth grinding for. Thanks to that, I can skip the Sunday dungeon. In the Sunday dungeon, a thank you note had been left. "You worked hard. Let's hope we never meet again." Jin-woo and Ramba, completely drained, exclaimed in unison, "Awesome time to clock out!" Both the Sunday and Thursday dungeons drop the same skill books, but running the Thursday one is much more rewarding. Thinking this, he smugly made a calculation. "That's enough for a warm-up. Or maybe I should train a little more, since I don't have to constantly grind these places. I've decided to let the whole team rest on Sundays." So what is this supposedly easy-peasy fifth dungeon really about amidst the ruined landscape of rocks and dirt? The system sent out a warning signal. Warning. Warning. A flashing red screen lit up. The boss monster is appearing. Looking at the monster before him, he couldn't help but think, this is the kind of place where you have to jump in and fight the boss to the death. Jin-woo immediately started complaining in frustration. The boss here has ridiculously high defense stats. The usual basic strategy is to use a B-rank white wolf to activate its defense-lowering skill. But he didn't follow the conventional path and quickly summoned everyone. A giant hand descended upon the ground. Following that was a heavy stomp. Seeing the majestic Titan Golem, Jin-woo's confidence immediately soared. If you're strong enough to just crush it with damage, then it's no problem. He gently raised a hand, turning off the camera. I probably can't sell this video. Jin-woo couldn't help but sigh. What are people supposed to learn from me just sending out a team full of monsters to beat the crap out of it? Today's menu, stir-fried Earth Golem. He introduced cheerfully. First, everyone just pull out your S-rank summon, just as casually as taking caviar out of the fridge, and use it. Everyone has an S-rank in their pocket, right? The audience, upon hearing this, would show their dissatisfaction. "Yeah, right, get out of here." Thinking of that scene, Jin-woo felt helpless, and thought to himself, I should probably just tell them to use the white wolf to wear down its defense, then follow up with a massive damage combo, the traditional way that is. In the end, he came to a conclusion. Anyway, it's not like there isn't a trick to breaking the record. As Jin-woo climbed onto its hand, he said, "Hey, Titan Golem." Looking at the clueless Earth Golem, his mind started calculating. The Earth Golem's weak point is its head. Aim right for it and attack. As Jin-woo thought this, the two golems had already faced off. This is exactly why I had to summon the Titan Golem. While the Wind Eagle and Ramba were fired up, he also swung his hand to give the order. Papri and Hung Yo, Jinwoo commanded directly. Focus your attacks on its head for me. In an instant, the two golems charged at each other, but a second later its arm was suddenly sliced off. At some point, Hung Yo had landed on the Earth Golem's arm. He calmly sheathed his sword while it looked on, stunned. Before the Earth Golem could react, it was cut to pieces. In the air, Paprian also raised her staff, summoning a sacred flame. She coldly prepared to deliver the finishing blow. The flame transformed into a dragon and swooped down. The raging fire immediately engulfed the Earth Golem, leaving behind only its charred body. As the battle ended, Paprian landed on the Titan Golem's shoulder. Following that was a series of notifications. Boss monster defeated. Dungeon successfully cleared. Completion time, 5 minutes 10 seconds. Jinwoo excitedly clenched his fist and exclaimed, I shaved off a full minute from the 6th national record. Then he looked down at Hungjeo and marveled. Hungjeo is so strong it's game-breaking. Even so, Jinwoo had no choice but to scratch his name off the list. I wasn't planning on putting him in the main lineup for this 5th dungeon anyway. He mused while looking around. Just having a well-trained Paprio is enough. He watched Paprio looking at him with sparkling eyes. Jinwoo thought with pride, he's strong enough to clear the highest-level dungeon in a heartbeat. The more he thought about it, the more confident he felt. In the future, it'll probably only take about 10 seconds, including the time to enter and exit the gate. Jinwoo happily patted her head and offered his praise. Good job, you guys. Hearing his voice, Hungjeo gave a slight nod while Jamba joyfully waved its hand. Amidst the rocky ruins, his relieved voice rang out. All right, let's go for one more round. A moment later, Jinwoo stepped through the teleportation gate again. Just then someone approached him and inquired, Excuse me, are you the player Baek Jinwoo? He looked at the two strange men. He replied a bit cautiously, Yes, that's me. One of them respectfully handed him a business card and introduced himself. We're from the Secretariat of the Director's Office. As soon as Jinwoo saw the business card, he spoke up. I see. Not wanting to get involved, he immediately asked, What can I do for you, gentlemen? In his mind, he couldn't stop wondering, I thought the discussions with headquarters were over a long time ago. The secretary quickly explained, We have carefully reviewed the proposal that you, Mr. Baek Jinwoo, submitted last time. His monotonous voice continued. I see you've achieved some impressive results, so we're considering a partnership. Jinwoo immediately cut him off. Oh, that thing. He gave a slight wave of his hand and declined with a smile. Yeah, let's just forget about it. Hearing this, the two men stared with wide-eyed astonishment. What did you say? Seeing their expressions, Jinwoo let out a mocking laugh. Reviewing and results, my ass. An image of Yujia with angel wings appeared in his mind. I'll pay you 13 billion up front. Just put your trust in me, Yujia. Behind him was the director with his words, Let me review it. Just trust headquarters. The more Jinwoo thought about it, the angrier he got. What kind of person do they take me for? Did they think he was some pushover who could be easily led around? They sure talk a good game. But the reality is the complete opposite of what Yujia offered. He then spoke up, startling the secretary. Moreover, Jinwoo calmly explained, I already have a management company. If you want to discuss business, please contact Ubex Yujia directly. After saying that, he turned and left decisively. That's all. Goodbye. He left the secretary standing there wide-eyed and stunned. Ubeck. He asked suspiciously, What is Ubeck? The confused secretary voiced his own question. He just mentioned Yujia. Don't tell me he's with the Daesung group. He frowned slightly and ordered, Investigate this immediately. He couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. For some reason, I feel like we just lost a golden opportunity. On the screen showing a message with Baek Jinwoo, the chief asked a little hastily, Are you awake yet? You must be sleeping soundly. I suddenly miss you so much. If only I had met you sooner. I've already fallen in love with you, Baek Jinwoo. He just coldly sent back a thumbs-up emoji, followed by the notification, Baek Jinwoo has left the chat. The next day in the city center, Jinwoo was comfortably sunbathing on a rooftop. He suddenly turned around and mumbled, This should be about right. This 6th dungeon is completely different from the places I've been to before. While in other dungeons, the summoned beasts do the fighting. Master, you're such a noob. Wait for me. Here. The player themselves has to overcome the challenge for it to count as a clear. Without hesitation, Jinwoo made a decision. I need to start training right away. With that thought, he quickly selected Summon Beast. In an instant, the surrounding space transformed. The system screen immediately appeared, summoning B-rank Wyvern Sky. Jinwoo slowly walked to the railing and looked down. Seeing the height, he couldn't help but think, thanks to the protective shield, I don't have to worry about falling to my death, but it's still pretty nerve-wracking. Then Jinwoo called out, "Sky!" Sky quickly lowered itself. As he climbed on, he asked, "Come on, are you ready?" On Jinwoo's command, it quickly took flight. "Let's head straight for the East Sea." The sudden loss of gravity made him shut his eyes in panic, but very quickly, Jinwoo opened them and looked down at the miniaturized city below. He let out a soft exclamation of surprise. Jinwoo thought excitedly to himself, "This is way more fun than I expected." Then he cheerfully gave the order, "Awesome, let's go." A short while later, by the coast of Yangyang, upon seeing him, Hongyo exclaimed, "Oh, my liege!" He then suddenly roared with pride, "Your flying skills are absolutely incredible!" "He really doesn't disappoint," Jinwoo mused, a bit flustered. "All this praise is putting pressure on me." But he still quickly deflected out loud. "It wasn't that amazing," but Hongyo loudly refuted, "No, I'm serious." Just then, Paprio spoke up softly, "But it's the truth." She recounted with great admiration, "At first, we really struggled just to ride the wyverns." An image of the two looking miserable suddenly appeared, the hardship of summoned beasts. A bit speechless, Jinwoo recalled, during the Great Summoner War, Hongyo and Poprio had ridden wyverns and dolphins before. Poprio didn't hesitate to shower him with praise, "Truly the great Jinwoo, someone completely worthy of being our master." So cool. Seeing their expressions, Jinwoo's heart melted. So adorable. All right. Thanks, everyone. Meanwhile, Hongyo was sulking on the side, muttering, "Why isn't anyone praising me? This is total discrimination." Jinwoo quickly turned away. "Okay, let's just move on." Observing the wide sea before him, Jinwoo asked softly, "Next is practicing riding the sky dolphin, right?" She quickly replied, "That's right." He put on a humble expression. "Learning from experienced people like you guys is the fastest way to improve. I'm counting on you all." Poprio enthusiastically added, "I'll do my absolute best." He also clenched his fist and replied, "As you command, Master." A few days later at the 6th dungeon. Jinwoo had now teleported to the 6th dungeon. A confident smile bloomed on his lips. "This is the place that specializes in special types of worms." As Jinwoo stretched, he called out, "Wind Falcon." On the virtual screen, the word "Challenge" appeared. "The race will begin in 10 seconds. Reach the finish line as fast as possible." This was the place that helped me get the God of Speed title. The Wind Falcon appeared and heard his command. "Buff me with a speed boost." Jinwoo lowered his center of gravity, preparing to run. At the same time, a countdown appeared. 3, 2. As the count hit 1, a glint flashed in Jinwoo's eyes. The signal was given, "Go." He shot forward in an instant. Gun barrels appeared in the air aimed down at him. He sprinted while deftly dodging the hail of bullets. In a flash, a bullet grazed Jinwoo's arm. He nimbly jumped, landing on the yellow squares. Experiencing this for myself is so much more fun than just watching on a computer screen. A spark of excitement flashed in Jinwoo's eyes. Time to enter the first hidden route. Before him was a blinding light where the wide sea met the horizon. Jinwoo smirked, calculating. Normally, I'd have to cross the water and just run straight, but as soon as he finished the thought, he suddenly leaped into the air. Jinwoo was seen diving straight into the sea. He smiled brightly and shouted, "Summon Sky Dolphin! Come on out!" From beneath the sea, a dolphin shot up, summoning C-Rank Sky Dolphin. As soon as Jinwoo grabbed onto it, he quickly shut his eyes and held his breath. A second later, they both vanished into the deep sea. Admiring the vibrant scenery under the sea, he couldn't help but think, if I use the dolphin to travel underwater, I can dodge a ton of those obstacles up there. Jinwoo squinted as they prepared to surface. The moment they burst out of the water, he immediately shouted, "Wyvern Sky!" As he spotted the familiar figure. Jinwoo quickly climbed it off. From this point on, he put power into his legs and leaped off the dolphin's body. Jinwoo easily landed on Sky's back. "It's an aerial performance." The two of them deftly dodged every attack. "I just have to zip past the last few traps and it's over." In the blink of an eye, the finish line appeared. His eyes widened in excitement as he yelled, "Finish!" following Jinwoo's joyful cry, "The end." The system window immediately popped up, "You have reached the destination." The system joyfully announced, "Dungeon cleared time, 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Afterward, the screen filled with exploding fireworks. "Congratulations, you have broken South Korea's 6th national record. You have earned a special achievement."